Arthur Okonkwo, in goal. What is love? Arthur Okonkwo, on loan from Arsenal.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are watching in the world. Sean Driver, the Red Horde, Wrexham fans doing a neutral watch along. Bolton and Huddersfield is who we're taking on this one. And I already got Deandra, Marie, W&G, Sam, and of course Brendan joining me for this one as it's an early morning one. Deandra, I was trying to look for you. You were one of the nominees I was going to suggest if you want to pick up the women's match, because I guess I'm going for a jog tomorrow. Let me know, because if you'd like to do the stream, Brendan said he'd help you out. I'm willing to help you out. If you want to sit with the community and do the game, let me know. Putting the pressure on live, because I was going to just message you, but it didn't happen. Anyways, lots going on this morning. Personally, everything else, and we'll get into that in a little bit. So Sam's watching the Stockport game. Well, that's good. You can give us some insight as to that one. W&G here for the scores and all that sort of stuff, and probably report on the early runs. Sam just watched Mansfield and Cambridge. That was a 2-1 final, I think it was. And what was the other morning one there, Brendan? It was Wickham and Northampton, and I know Wickham won 2-1 on that one as well. So climbing up things. As far as this one, there's the interesting part about this match, and Huddersfield we haven't seen yet, other than watching them. They played very poorly away to Rotherham in the last. Or no, they were at home to Rotherham. In any event, didn't look good in that one. We have seen Bolton, and Bolton off to an early struggle. I'm watching on the Bolton feed just so that you're aware. Brendan's watching on the Huddersfield stream. Things are pretty negative in Bolton. 1 win, 1 draw, 2 losses. And their win was the season opener. So they're on a run of 1 point in 3 matches. And they're talking potentially canning the gaffer already and moving away from him on the radio station with the broadcast. But what I also found interesting were the changeovers for their lineup. Really 3 changes that are notable, and that is to start with Sheehan, Welsh captain. He's out, going with Matete in the midfield, and then they've also, for our purposes, Wrexham, McAtee on the bench. That's shaking things up because, and I should ask, the other one is Johnston is out in favor of Dakers Cogley. That's 3 players who, at least in the match against us, and according to FOTMob, were the 3 of the 4 highest ranked players in the match against Wrexham, and they're all sitting on the bench for this one. W&G, can Deandra's feeding the troops there. That works. I get it, kids. Taken away from all the fun that we can have. No, joking. And you'd be fine. I know that from having you been on before, that you'd be fine. But I get it, and that's so. We'll move on from that one. I'm going for a jog at exactly that time. And W&G, Cambridge is falling off big time. Can you say Cambridge is falling off? Because I think this is probably their high water mark for Cambridge is. I mean, I haven't done their Who Are You series, but unless I've got it in my head and I'm considering the wrong history, I would think that League One would be where they'd look to kind of stick. Let's just run back and have a look at that before we get into it. So, and anyway, Huddersfield, I didn't compare their lineup to the last match that they had against Rotherham, but yeah, League One, League Two conference, I would say this is sort of home for them. It would be outside of a couple of blips in the early 90s and back in the 70s. They've largely been where they've made it up into the second tier of the championship. They've mostly been a League Two side with a dip to the conference and an equal dip into League One. But I had them as a team that was going to be down at the bottom with Shrewsbury, I didn't expect Leyton Orient, I'll be frank, to be 4 losses at the start of this one, but Cambridge, Shrewsbury, Burton, all sort of starting to take shape down there. There's Sam with the update. Absolutely nothing up front, lots of chances, but wasted them like Peterborough. It'll tell me about how let's just flip to the Wrexham switch. The Birmingham match, and I don't know, I may be leaving early. We could be getting a response in. I've been in contact with, and now I can't remember. Titan Talk.
You mentioned one of the Birmingham podcasts.
Birmingham podcast, Titan Talk, or Tilton Talk. Sorry, Tilton Talk.
Oh yeah, I saw. He talked with Tim from Fearless and Devotion already.
Yeah, there's a bunch of them. There's 8, and there's 8 of them, I believe, that do it. We're getting, because it's easier to schedule, potentially Mark down in the United States. We're probably going to sign off quickly after this one. Jump in on that one, whether it's live or it's recorded. Not 100% certain, but I'll be following up with him, and I've got some graphics set up, and we'll see how that one goes, and that'll be on me, Brendan, to monitor. So. Just wanted to switch gears a little bit and talk about the Wrexham versus Birmingham matches. Bolton just stepped on one of their teammates during the warm up there. Wrexham Birmingham Twitter has been very, very different than the Peterborough match, where sensible seem the Birmingham fans, and arguably the most respectful side, but maybe they feel like they have to be because of how much money they spent, that they can't be ignorant sods, or they'll be called out if they end up not performing very well. Let's just hope that Stevenage win over Barnsley and Crawley beat Stockport. That'd be helpful. I mean, we can take care of our own business, and the schedule works out that things get a little bit lighter. We're still in control of our own destiny, but I don't know, Brendan. What are your takes on how Twitter has been and how the Birmingham response has been out there in the universe that you've seen so far?
So half of them seem reasonable. I mean, a fair number seem reasonable and are concerned about Wrexham and think it could be a good game. There is, a fairly decent size part of the population that was thinking that they're going to thump us 3-0, and it's one thing to think it like they did in Peterborough, because they thought it was conflicting styles, and their style of always going forward, and when teams are on their back foot, at least they had reasoning for why they thought that. But with Birmingham, they haven't thumped anybody. They've never scored more than 2 goals in a match that I remember, right? Or if they did, it was only once. They're not looking great. They're looking good enough to win games. They're getting good results, but to think they're going to thump us, like you, out of all the teams you think you're going to thump, you're going to pick the team that's on a roll and at the top of the league. It just doesn't. It was nonsensical. So I just wrote those people off as, crazy. They must say that every game. So yeah, I think I will hope it will be a good game. I mean, the way we should think about it is they have a loaded team. At some point, they're going to click. Some game they're going to click, and they're going to just absolutely eviscerate somebody, right? 5-0, 7-0, or something. They're going to run circles around some team. Don't necessarily think that's us. Could be, but they haven't clicked yet, and hope it's not against us. If they don't start clicking on the game against Wrexham, then we could even win the game away. I would hope for a draw and not get, too full of ourselves. But, if we lost 2-1 or 2-0, I wouldn't be truly bothered,
Yeah, they did beat Wickham 3-2. But I'm with you in the sense that, I mean, they're Peterborough with better players. It's really, as I see it, same style, same formation, same everything going to get thrown at us, except just a little bit higher quality of player coming out of Bolton. But they're still unfamiliar with each other. Well, and sometimes I don't know if lack of familiarity is just an excuse. And I say that because you look at their turnover and compare it to Crawley. I mean, Crawley is doing way better than anybody expected. I think that's a fair assessment to say, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, they're only 14th, but they're doing way better. Crawley had only 30.7% of their team return from last year, which is lower than Birmingham, who was at 36.3%. Bristol Rovers is another team that is sitting in 11th, and I don't think anybody expected them to do anything. And they had more turnover than Birmingham. And so at what point do you say it's management not drawing it out? What point do you say it's maybe the players just not gelling? They're going to be walking. And the interesting thing for Birmingham is their schedules they've had a bit of an easy run of it to start. They really get into it here upcoming. What could happen after the next run of 5 games where they've got us, then they go away to Rotherham, then they're at home to Peterborough, then they're at home to Huddersfield, and then they're away to Charlton. That's a gauntlet. What happens if they go through a run of that and they pull 4 points? The sky is falling.
Yeah.
In Birmingham, and so it's 6 games or 5 games in. You don't want to say that either team is on the sharp edge of the knife, but for Wrexham, we've got to maintain and then make hay through the next swath of games for us. For them, they're going to be challenged to find their form in a bloody quick hurry here, or they could end up falling well back and have to start scrambling to get up. And, all of a sudden the team's turning on you. They're in your ear. It's interesting with Birmingham because despite the fact that the team got demoted, relegated down into League One, seems to be just a ton of optimism that not only are they going to take care of things here, but they have a chance to move through the championship relatively quickly too. So they've got large aspirations on a go forward. But for Wrexham, the one fear. I'll just finish this.
When I've seen some of these Birmingham sides, content providers giving feedback on their team, it sounds like they bought a bunch of really good players, but they didn't buy guys for specific positions. They seem to have overloads on the right and guys that really should be playing in the same types of positions or in different types of formations. So I heard a lot of them talking about, this player, we're going to have to be somewhat unbalanced, and on the right side winger is going to have to move forward, so that allows our midfielder to slide over to that side more and help. And it's all these things where they're kind of not any classical formation, and they have to come up with ways to get good players on the field and slightly out of position. And I would imagine that would cause some communication issues and some flow issues, right? And I think that's adding to why they're off to a slow start, not to mention the fact that they brought on guys very at the end of the window. So they hadn't played with the team, and those guys are expected to be starters, right? So it's not like you're just filling the back end of your bench. You're paying a guy £15 million. You got to get him out on the pitch, and whether or not he's gelling with the team, that's irrelevant. You got to get him out there and make it work. So I just think that how the team came together a little bit later, and guys are somewhat out of position at the moment. It's probably adding to their kind of not being in the best shape.
Just going back to your comment that you'd made earlier about the potential of a blowout and all that sort of stuff. The interesting thing that I find with Wrexham is when you end up playing, you're a counter-attacking team. And I can think of like the New Jersey Devils as the perfect example in the NHL of a counter-attacking hockey team, right? They defensive shell and then they just come at you in a wave. Is if you're on the right side of things, you can do what you did against Bolton and what you did against Peterborough, where you frustrate, you defend, and then you come quick and you're efficient and it works. If our efficiency slows down at all, or you end up with a team whose possession it becomes a little bit next level, could you end up in a game where it is that 3-0, 4-0, 5-0 score? Absolutely. I think that there's going to be, just based on the style that we play, one or two games where we wear it this year. I don't know when you predict it, but that's the challenge that you play when you say we're gonna fill gaps and take advantage of mistakes, and we're gonna counterattack and let you have 65% of the ball, because I don't know if that's going to happen as against Birmingham, but I can see the concern, because that's the concern for me, is it only takes a 10% decline in efficiency, and all of a sudden our results are far different than they were before, and then we look poor because we gave up too much ball, we couldn't finish, we couldn't execute, something was wrong up front, and I would like to think it's hopefully just the odd blip that'll occur during the season, but to expect to go 46 games without having a couple of eggs that we lay, I think would be unexpected. But I hope it doesn't extend for more than that, and you go on like a month-long run where it's just not working.
Well, so DeAndrew just mentioned something that I didn't want to say, because I was worried about jinxing us again, but I've kind of given up on that now for this season because we got off to such a good start. But
yeah,
sometimes a thumping can get a team that's kind of full of themselves and was beating up on nobodies to kind of realize, wait a minute, we don't have it all figured out. We can't just, give half effort the first half of the game, dial it up for a couple of goals, and then just cruise, right? We have to give it a full effort the whole time. That can happen to teams sometimes, and then in a thumping can kind of correct your mindset and get you playing the way you should be playing. I'm worried about the opposite, right? If you somehow beat the mighty Birmingham in Birmingham, then we're gonna piss the league. It's a cakewalk, and then the upcoming 4 games that we could crush and really start to get needed points. Because of what is it, like late October into November, there's a run of some formidable teams, right? Huddersfield.
Yeah, we got Rotherham, Huddersfield, and Charlton back to back, and Lincoln City, who's sitting at 6.
So
is that where they're at?
You could come out of there with little to no points potentially, right? So the 4 games after Birmingham, you have to cash in on. And does a loss make you focus on those next 4 games and win them all? Does a win against Birmingham or a great showing against Birmingham have you cruise into those games and then kind of trip all over yourself, just thinking that it's you don't have to give the same effort? You know what I mean? So a loss doesn't necessarily. It may bring everyone back down to earth and keep them focused on working hard. It may be overall better for the team. So something to think about.
It's I'm with you. As the table is starting to figure itself out, the run of games is starting to, and what we're looking to as far as the end of season run in, as far as the Christmas break goes, and you start to look at things and go, okay, so the ebbs and flows of things. We had a really tough start of the 6 games. Now we're going to end up with 4 potentially easier games. And you go through that nasty run that you were just talking about, which also includes Mansfield at home and then Stockport away. Then things get lighter a little bit through the earlier to late part of December. And then we flip the switch in January and we do the Barnsley, Peterborough, Reading, the Derby game against Shrewsbury, which emotional away, and then Birmingham again. So, it seems with us that we're going to do over the course of the year big swaths of expected tough games, expected winnable games, expected tough games, expected winnable games. The nice thing is we have a run of winnable games for the run in at the end of the season. So if we're able to hang on, we'll see where we end up going. It's pretty cool to be sitting there looking top of the table and seeing our name though at any point in the season, because I was hoping that we'd just eke into, sixth place spot and get some playoff matches by the end of this. And I thought that was probably our high watermark. And Parky and the club, the manager of the month, proving me wrong. Oh, the other thing is, if you haven't, and I should just mention this, I put a tweet out there about it if people wanted to go and find it, but you can search for it, and Wrexham's put it out as well. Marriott's goal was nominated for an EFL goal of the month. So if you have an opportunity to go to EFL goal of the month and lay a vote on, then go ahead and do that. Do you think, though, Jinping, I guess Jinping's doctor, sorry, that it's that they have to get a win for, or I mean, I get that it's confirmation or affirmation. Is it though, really? I think that the first 5 they should already be there, that the confidence, even in a loss, they know they can hang in this league, right? I would hope they can do that. Man, what do you think the attendance is? I mean, it's early, I guess. We're 5 minutes away from kickoff, and I don't know if they're showing you the stadium, Brendan, but it looks to be a third full, 40% full, which is pretty late.
Yeah.
Como Bologna on CBS. Can Wrexham's run continue? I mean, and that's the story of things. And the longer it continues, the better we're off. I will say this: it is nice to have on an impeccably clear screen on iFollow for an away team. Either that means they've maybe addressed their issues, or if it happens tomorrow or on Monday, I'm going to lose my mind, because I'll be using iFollow. You guys will be using CBS. But it's going to be exceptionally frustrating. Oh, actually, I may not be using iFollow because it's on DAZN, so I'll get coverage either way. But I'm going to try iFollow so I can get Mark, and we'll see what ends up happening out of that one. Come Monday afternoon for me, a 12 o'clock start. So, Brendan, did you have a look at anything with respect to this one? What do you think as between Bolton, and we've obviously saw them against us? Man, is that Crawley game? And I wanted to check this. It is an away game, isn't it? Oh no, it's at home. Good. I'm not looking forward to that game and getting vertigo on the Crawleytown one. But do you have any thoughts of Bolton Huddersfield? Obviously, you've got we saw Bolton play us.
I thought Huddersfield could be if both teams are playing well, forecasting who's going to come first, second, third. I thought these were going to be the second and third place teams. Who knew which was going to fall where? So this more comes down to, you'd think home team would have the advantage, but Bolton really hasn't clicked yet either. And Huddersfield seems like they're a little bit more on a roll. So I would guess that this could be a 1-1 or a 2-1 Huddersfield. Somewhere in there. Yeah,
I'll admit, I never thought I'd say this in a neutral game, but I'm hoping that Bolton takes away 3 points in this one. Usually I like the draws. I always prefer draws and the loss of a point as between the teams. But with Huddersfield sitting at 9 points, game in hand, this, and just behind us with the one loss, I would much rather have Bolton sneak up into mid-table and drag Huddersfield down than the inverse be true. So they're making their way out onto the pitch. Man, the attendance, you look at like some of those sections, that one section is 20% full, 15% full, just at the end goal. Bolton, I don't know if they're running out of favor already, but if I was the owner looking at this after the performance and the players, you're going to lose the fans because they're not going to come out to continue to watch you not perform. So, so Jinping's sticking pins in the Huddersfield voodoo doll. So other people thinking exactly as I am, that they'd love to see Bolton end up figuring that out. And that's got to be sort of a statement to Bolton that you've got another team's club sitting there hoping that you steal 3 points because you're that far off things on the table. Any parting shots, Brendan, before I take over on this one for the play-by-play?
No, it looks like the fans are starting to fill in, so it looks like they're getting a decent amount of attendance.
Yeah, maybe they were just all getting their last minute pie. Won't be a beer, right? But
Yeah.
that was the biggest, the most entertaining part was maybe of the, well, not the most, but an entertaining part of the Wrexham Vancouver match, or the Wrexhamites were like, "We can drink in your stadium?" And I was like, "Yeah." During the game? Yeah. No way. Yeah, no, it's all good. There was a ton of excitement about that.
All right. I will pass it over to you then. I will talk to you at half.
Perfect. So we're all set up and lined up for this one. The captain for Bolton, Santos, getting himself all set up. The pitch looks good, 28,000 in as far as capacity, but and I mean, I guess that's true too. Is when you have 28,000, you half fill it, you still got 14 in the place. So there's some consideration for that, but it's not a lot of people were chomping at the bit for this one. Huddersfield I haven't seen their away kit yet, and I don't know what you would describe this as if you're not looking at it. Red, melon, and black. Red and black. It's a watermelon color with a black design that I'm not even going to try to describe. Abstract art, and I wonder if it's something that means something in Huddersfield or not. I'm with you, John. Long may the run continue, and I'm trying to just brace myself for a couple of stinkers, and then hopefully, as it was in League Two, I found it was just a matter of controlling the downs. Every team had their ups and downs, injury, loss of form, whatever it was. It was really a battle of form and maintaining the good for as long as you can and getting rid of the bad whenever you fell into it. So Huddersfield in their watermelon jerseys going from right to left. Bolton in their white is going to go from left to right on your television screen. I don't know who's all picking it up, but I'll try and give you the play-by-play as best as I can. And I'm going to jump onto the FOT Mob, our sofa score I'm going with now. And we are underway. And I was a little bit late getting started there, so I'll get you the minute updates as we follow through and get that score going. Interesting to see how Sean is doing. They've got their scores up for the lineups. And it looks like we're looking at Josh Koroma to be the man to stir the drink for Huddersfield up on this one. Bolton, early possession, long down the right side, and actually a well-placed ball. I thought originally that wasn't going to be anything, but Dempsey's able to go and get control before it goes out, and it's just going to go for a harmless throw in the corner for Huddersfield. It was kicked out by Dempsey. Long looping ball that was over to the far right side, and I thought, well, that's kind of a wasted ball. It's just going to end up going out for touch, but it held up, and Dempsey ran into it behind the defender, but not able to maintain control. I hate when you seeing numbers that you don't immediately recognize, and they're not. Matete, that 28 looked like a 3, and I was all thrown off because I didn't see a 23 that could have been him because Sean wasn't the same. So Dempsey again, another touch of the ball early on down the right side. Got that ball forward. Backers Cogley able to get the cross in front. It's there, dangerous, and tried the volley, but way over top. That was Thomason stepped in there. He had more space and more time, I think. If he would have just taken that first touch and potentially gone left, he would have opened everything up. But instead, right from the edge of the 18-yard box, a left footer that went way over on the missed strike. What time is it where we're watching? I'm at 7 o'clock in the morning. 7 here, 10 on the East Coast. That's where Brendan is. We never talked about, I know it's a hyphenated name for the Birmingham keeper, but I think they're looking to at whether they're going to end up keeping their regular keeper that started the first 4 in there or changing things off. And I'm forgetting the first half of his name before I get there. But it's Peacock Farrell. Bailey Peacock Farrell from Northern Ireland. Probably losing his job, at least temporarily, to Ryan Alsop. But long kick down from the Huddersfield keeper, and it ends up just going back and forth as the two teams are playing ping pong through the midfield and from right to left before it gets under control here. And it's cleared out easily by Forino. as that allows the Bolton defenders to set themselves up. 10 a.m. in Aruba. Yeah, John, I saw that too, and I think they have to be fair. And it's the one position of all the money that Bolton played, and they brought in 2 new keepers, both capable, experienced League One goalkeepers, but none of them special historically. They're going to just be your average capable people and hope somebody gets in there. Yeah, I think it should play for sure. 10 a.m. in Aruba. Is that too early for rum? Throw into the short post, knocked down, and it gets right back to a Huddersfield boot, and it's returned into the box and too far and away from everybody, but not cleared. That was a horrible clearance, but Huddersfield not able to get it, and Bolton on the attack down the left side. Shown. Still, he's dangerous. I still like this guy, and he's always going to be evidence of the frustration that I have. Use those 2 elite visas and bring some people in, including the free agent transfers. There's some internationals that are out there that are in the right age group that you wanted to reach down into Brazil and grab a winger and give him a crack. Why not? Even if you have to add a Portuguese-speaking translator, bring somebody in. Going to be a left-footed outswinger from Schoen on the left-hand side, and it's going to go to the middle of the pitch, and that was the captain, Santos, who had an opportunity. We got inside of the mob there and wasn't able to get a foot on it. It just rolls out harmlessly because he missed it. And here they come on the counter. It's a 2-on-1. Everybody scrambling back. Matete into the box to try to take on 3 guys and didn't get the pass away. I would have thought that he would have one-touched that over to the other side potentially early on, keep the momentum, but instead he killed everything by keeping the ball at foot. Dempsey over to Schoen, horrible pass. Can it be saved? It can. Toll down. Team battling for possession in the midfield before it gets thumped into the far right corner. And Toll is over there to head it to the keeper. And whoosh. Nice move to keep that in play. Baxter we saw. Nichols we saw in the Rotherham game. Possession's got to be fairly even. Momentum meters got to be pretty even. Not a lot happening so far. Man, Santos is some kind of center back. He is just a big beast of a man, and he's big, he's tall, he's fast, he's intimidating, and he's clearing out everything. There he is. Speak of him, who's just cleared out that ball right there. Huddersfield with a little bit of added possession here, more control there. A bicycle kick pass that goes to Huddersfield and just cleared out by Bolton, and away we run. Toll. Like between Toll and Santos, I'm not so sold on Farino on the right side of their back line, but they've got 2 very capable center backs that just control things. Stockport 1 goal up already. We got to always check your mute there too. There's W&G with the score update as everybody's there. Sam, if you're watching that one, feel free to let us know what happened and how that one went in. I absolutely love being able to pick up these extra games and being able to see the people that are out there. Toll, whoa, nice little lead pass that was on a sort of quasi switch, and it was left for Marshall to run onto. And Toll gets over there and nice little sliding tackle, clears it. And Bolton looking to maintain some possession here as Huddersfield starting to turn the needle a little bit and apply the screws. His 18-yard box over inside Toll with the block. The 2 of them, I'm sure they take away at least a goal a game. And then a horrible clearance over to nobody was, I guess, put down for Collins to try and chase it for Bolton, but way too far. Goes out for a touch, and away we run. Everybody, we're going to start a GoFundMe for Jinping Pox Doctors, Voodoo, and pins. We got to get a new doll, new pins, get it all figured out. Huddersfield with possession, tried to do a pass, couldn't get it out. That's Lonwick in the back, working with Miller and unable to do much there. So the switch is on over to the right-hand side. That's Evans going to advance it forward and get it up over to the right-hand side. Nice little spin, and here they come, 25 yards out towards the edge of the area, and then neatly tackled. That's Sorensen again, just losing. I want to check Huddersfield's lineup just because it sounds like they've got a whole ton of Scandinavian and Dutch players, and I'm just saying that based on foul on a tackle, and we're going to, from 35 yards out, have a free kick. Well, they're all I follow, and my stream right now is exceptionally clear. I can see the sweat building up on I should know his name, the right back, Farino. On his faces, we're going to have a right-footed. He's going to have to, I'm sure, put this into the box for something. He's not going to take a crack from 34 yards out. No wall really even there, and it's going to go to the far post, and it's dangerous. Yeah, he had the inside position. I can't see. Is that Sorensen on the ground, number 2? No, number 32. So that's Tom Lee's up from his right back position. Had the inside position, and I don't know, did he just miss that? He just didn't get up in the air, and he missed the ball entirely, and the defender was able to end up getting that out. Oh, they called it a goal kick. It didn't go for a corner, so they're saying it did go off his head. He just looked like he misplayed that. He had great position. It was a dangerous ball. You'd love him to have that opportunity 10 yards away from goal with an open header, and he just mishit that with the old melon, the watermelon. Yeah, John, rub it in, rub it in. I may, you know what? I think you maybe sold me. I'm going to go to London Drugs and grab a no-name visa. I've already got the VPN. We'll see if I can get that all caught up so that I can end up picking up the odd other game. The other question that I have is, are you able to get replays? Because that would be something different, because to be able to sit on the train and watch a half of football and then watch another half of football on the way back. Huddersfield throw in right-hand side. Lee's coming up, and I was going to check their nationalities for their players, Huddersfield, because it just looked as though to me they've got a whole bunch of. So Sorensen from Denmark. It's got to be a Dutch. Lonwick from the Netherlands. And I guess that's it. Vost is English, at least by birth. And a Serbian. All right. Learning something new every day, and this is why I enjoy it. Oh, game time. I'm at 11 minutes and 20 seconds right now, and I'll mark it at 11:30 in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 11:30. Throw in. This game is developing as though it's just Huddersfield prodding, poking, looking for an option. And so far, Bolton hasn't had a touch of the ball inside of, I would even say, not just the final third, but Huddersfield's half for an extended period. They've got possession now, and Schoen has it, gets it to Matete over to the right-hand side to Farino, who now they finally got some possession through Dackers Cogley with it through the middle of the pitch, and then a bad pass, and here comes Huddersfield on the counter-attack. Up, over, through, and too far, and Farino had it nicely read. He's going to go to the corner, and he's just going to thump it out, and Huddersfield's going to have possession. 6 yards in from a throw-in. He could have done way better with that one, Farino. He just had some space, probably about 6 feet, and he turns, and instead of clearing it down the pitch, I think he mishit that, and he just drove it straight out. Wrexham game is available for replay except Salford and many others. Yeah, so even just picking up part-time. I mean, for $5.99 a month, and it's how many months are left. I can go and is there an annual subscription option? Just so that I know how much of the visa I need to get because I'm going to go and risk it. Cross into the box, and it's horrible. It went behind the goal before the near post and trying to cross that one over from Miller. But lots of prodding, lots of poking, lots of getting close. I'm going to be using voodoo doll terminology for the entirety of this match. Now that it's stuck in my head. The stadium filling up nicely. They were late to get there. The pies must be really good in Bolton. Baxter, I don't think he's intentionally wasting time, but that was just a weird rollover there of the ball to go from one post to the other. The right-footed in-swinger wants to make sure he keeps it in the middle of the pitch. Paramount Plus should be paying you a commission for the sales job you're doing. And I guess it's US dollars, so my Canadian visa, I might have to go and get a larger one than the 50, or I'll just get the 50 and retop it up later on. Yeah, there's W&G always has those updates, and it's been pretty quiet so far around League One. I don't know what's happening. I'm back. I don't know what happened. I didn't do anything. Unless I got caught up. I think it's that's pretty good. If it's $29.99, I can get that in there easy. So according to FOTMOB, Bolton isn't getting hammered. I wouldn't say they're getting hammered, but they're not doing a damn thing. Is there a difference? Yeah, there's barely anyone scoring. Yeah, I did go dark. Howdy, Thomas. Nice to see you. Thanks for joining in on the watch party. The neutral watch along. Where is my... I did click on my Google to try and load something up, so I'm hoping I didn't overcook my system just by loading Google. That'd be interesting. Santos with it, gets it over to Toll. Awkward possession. If there has been a possession battle, the difference has been possession just within the final third has been all Bolton. Huddersfield, like the ball has been in Bolton's half for almost the entirety of things. Yeah, I'm going to play with it because, I mean, Paramount Plus sitting on the old... and I get to cancel potentially DAZN, assuming that iFollow picks itself up because I don't need it now that we're out of the EFL Cup. So that's $35 a month. How's that for having to pay for nonsense with DAZN? Bolton with it. Nice little ball over top, but misses everything and it's chipped out. Hellick just throws it out. I haven't said Hellick's name yet today. He's the center back for Huddersfield, and he went back on an opportunity. They had two men. Could have been a 2-on-1 had it have landed, but Hellick was back there to get control, and Thomason throws it in. Bolton has it. Midfield stripe and across to Farino, and Farino's going to look to get the switch and complete it over to the right-hand side. A missed touch, and they're going to have to come all the way back to Baxter to clear that up. And at least possession on the Huddersfield side of the line for Bolton here, 16 minutes in. And some whistles coming in, wolf whistles from the crowd. We're getting a little bit restless already at Tough Sheet Stadium. Sorensen lets it roll out, blocked him out for a goal kick. Thanks, John. I will find that. I will check that out. I got to go maybe while I'm downtown after my run tomorrow, or my jog or my walk. Nice little stroll. I haven't checked the weather tomorrow. Am I going to be running in the rain? I don't like rain. Oh, it's going to be a nice day. Cool. High of 19 Celsius. 66 for those of you in the US, 52. So nice and cool. Nice. It should be a good day for a run as I go for a jog. I just passed 100 days not smoking. And I can say, I was telling Brendan before, we went through the mass chaos of last week, finalized a sale. Subjects were removed yesterday. And so it is official. We will be moving. We'll get possession of the house in October. We've got a month worth of renovations that we want to do to the place before we move in. So sometime in mid-November, this will be coming to you from a brand new location. And I'll eventually get to work on a stadium. All right, Jason, I'll see you at Second Beach tomorrow. I hope you're not a runner. Maybe we can do it together. Denise, how are you? Good morning. Nice to see you. Appreciate that. An opportunity here for Bolton for the first time. Going to have an opportunity 20 yards out. Instead of taking the switch, he's going to get it over to the right-hand side, and they can't get anything. It's going to have to be a corner. As that was Cogley, got it to Matete, who swept it over. And Lonwick, the Dutch defender on the left-hand side, able to block that one, and it goes out for a corner. That was Matete, who was up 20 yards out, right in the middle, and he had players to the right and left. And instead of either trying to go to them or trying to have a crack from there, he pushed it far to the right to try and get a cross in, and it didn't end up happening. Schoen, left-footed in-swinger, taking all of the set pieces for Bolton, and he's going to go far post and over top of that. I thought that was Toll originally, but it turns out that was Farino, and so it's cleared out to the midfield stripe. I love the quotation marks. You are a runner, but a slow runner. See, I've gone for a couple of jogs, and it's not working. The lungs are still recuperating. Matete again through the middle of the pitch, and he gets hauled down right in the middle. No, he doesn't. No call given. Fascinating. I thought that was behind and got him in the legs and took him down, but the referee says, nah, get up, sir. Let's pimp out your new studio. It's slow. The priority is going to be making sure my kids have a new bed. I guess that's important. We got to buy new appliances. I guess we got to cook with some stuff, but it will be slowly upgrading as Blackpool goes up on Exeter 1-0. Hellick heads that one away. Oy. He didn't hit him. Okay, so what happened? The Huddersfield player went in on Lonwick to go and try and knock what he anticipated or deflect what was anticipated to be a header or a header down to a Bolton player, and he got his foot up, but he didn't make contact, and the referee still blew it down and gave a foul. I didn't see any contact there anywhere else. Yeah, it's kind of a thing, Deandra, right? And so I kind of going to have to feed them. Wigan up 1-0 on the Bristol Rovers as people are starting to add scores. I was wanting to check to see if there's anybody else that we're hoping takes 3 points. Leyton Orient. I'll take 3 points from them over Reading. A horrible decision, man. That was Dion Charles with the ball, has players to his right or left, and he puts it through the middle of the pitch where there's nobody available and just turns the ball over to Huddersfield. And here they come for a run down the other side as it's Miller, 18-yard box near the goal line, looking to do a cross. Oh, and he just blasts by Farino, who went to ground, cut back into the middle of the pitch, and it's headed away. Farino finally picking himself off the ground. That wasn't defended very well at all as Farino just goes around. Miller goes around Farino. Another giveaway. And Farino he's having himself a horrible half. Is he just goes to clear that one and puts it straight up in the air right in front of him. Toll, steady as. You've got two amazing center backs back there, or left back, center back, I guess, in Toll and Santos. And Farino is just a train wreck at the moment. Peterborough, Lincoln City, I'll take a draw. Blackpool, Exeter, I guess. Do we take a Blackpool win on that one or a draw? Probably just a draw. So Stevenage, I'll take a win from Stevenage over Barnsley. I think that's about it. The rest can all end up in draws as far as I'm concerned. Shrewsbury, do we cheer for Shrewsbury over Charlton, even though everybody would love to see them relegated? Why not? Why not? So there's a couple matches out there that we maybe... DeAndre's rooting for Crawley today. Yeah, that's another one for sure. Oh, deflected it off of Miller. Did Collins. Left footer, first opportunity. That was all Collins. Collins does the work on the right-hand side, bangs the ball off of Miller as he's sliding past him and collects it, and then goes through to the middle of the pitch and gets a shot away just on the edge of the area, 18-yard box, and it's easily collected by Nichols. Bolton's starting to get, I'd suggest the last 5 minutes have been more 50-50. How's the momentum meter looking? It says possession is, interestingly enough, 53%. Oh, that's interesting. It's blue, but that's Huddersfield is blue and Bolton is green. All right. So Huddersfield was just a minor improvement on possession at 53%. So Premier League, thanks Logan for that one. Jamie Vardy just scored for Leicester up on Crystal Palace. I was talking to a sports fan who's not a football fan yesterday for about an hour and was talking about the 3 p.m. blackout. And he just couldn't understand. He's like, what do you mean nobody can watch? Anywhere? So if I'm 5 hours away, I can't watch? You can't watch. So running through and catching those. Interesting. What is going on in Rotherham? Like Burton to me is relegation fodder for this year. And to consider them potentially holding Rotherham, I mean, that would jump them over top on 7 points, moving Rotherham down the table. Nuts. Crazy. Lonwick, Huddersfield, long ball over the top, nobody home, and easily collected by Baxter. Denise. Huddersfield, just nothing. Racing is the term that my basketball coach gave when you're trying to do too much and you're forcing things so hard that you're not necessarily playing bad, but you're just not able to connect on things. And both squads racing a little bit, running a little hot, and not able to get those final touches. And so the ball's flying and just missing left and right. Nichols with it, the keeper, trying to get it, and he gives it to Lonwick, and see that touch puts him under challenge, and it goes out. It's just, this is looking more and more like the Rotherham Huddersfield match, and where it's just a scramble. Lonwick puts a hand on the back, and Collins, that's a flop. If you had the flop meter going, count that one. That was the soft, gentle hand on the back, and as soon as it made contact, Collins flopped. Missed touch again. It's just everywhere. It's a pandemic of missed touches. As this time it was Wiles gets a gorgeous ball. He's ahead of Farino, and he tries to draw it in with his left foot. He's all frustrated, and he tries to draw it and cut it in front of Farino and cut him off, and he misboots it and punts it over to the left and to the outside, and he's not able to go over and collect it because he just. Maybe I'm being overly critical. I don't know. Yeah, no, that was. Huddersfield, nice ball through. into the middle of the area, into the 18-yard box, but it's going to roll to the outside, and it's going to try and attempt to be crossed, as that was Marshall not able to collect it and gather it in time. The epic flop GIFs are running. I do need to get the streamer bot stuff going. Hand over the keys even a little bit more. I think we'll always leave the control of the flops to Brendan, but there's some other things that we can do. Throw into the area for Huddersfield. They settle it down. It's cleared in, and Santos just pops it back out for another throw, as that was Sorensen missing on the pass. Promised and delivered. Tom Lees, the right back, all the way up for the throw, and throws it in, 18-yard area, enters it into the box, and they're on Toll, and Toll just easily defends Karoma and kicks it back out, but Huddersfield controls. Sorensen, again, dancing. He's got space, looking for a right-footed cross, doesn't get it in. Instead, he just flips it off to Evans, who loses it, and here comes Bolton on the counterattack, but bangs it off of the head. Controlled by Cogley, gets it out to Matete, and here comes Bolton. Nope, they're not. Gave that one away. Is now Matete and Charles having words on what they were supposed to do, and they're both frustrated with each other as the frustration levels starting to increase here. I haven't seen one exclusively for the EFL. I mean, I assume Sky Sports and BBC and those guys are still running their Saturday football as it's put into the area, but easily cleared, where they, without showing the highlights, they end up just taking you around on. Sloppy. Can't show highlights except for Scott, because they have all the right. Lost sound. Can you hear me, Brandon? Everything says we're fine on our end. Leighton Orient goes up on Reading. 1-0. I didn't touch anything. Audio's crapped out. You might have to jump in until I'll just keep talking until they get us. I didn't touch anything. Maybe it is just my computer's so bad. Every time I load, it ends up bogging things down. I'm looking. And now I'm back. Yeah, I'll have to. I can fix that at the half when we come through, maybe. I'll figure that out. Okay, we're back. Get a Mac. The reality is I've been sitting here forever with my really expensive graphic. We did get this. I just haven't had the time to slap that into the system. I've got the graphic card and the upgrades and the RAM and the whole thing to try and bring a better stream, but I've been saved a little bit by Brendan doing his thing that I haven't had to load it up. 32 minutes and 10 seconds is where I'm at on the stream, and we're just watching a sloppy match. And I'm going to load up some stuff on the old phone until we get to the half, and then I'll grab my laptop and we'll take care of things that way. How embarrassing. How embarrassing. Thank you, John. I appreciate that. Hooking me up with the Paramount stuff if I can set it up. There we go. Yeah, I was looking at it. I know. I think it was about 50-50 as far as people saying this, as far as its output, but I went with what was. I actually bought that one off of somebody local here, so it was on Facebook Marketplace. Nabbed it that way. It was an unopened box on Facebook Marketplace, and so I got it for cheaper. Yeah, but I'm not watching the NFL. It doesn't exist because, unfortunately for me, Green Bay and Detroit and all those teams are looking good, and my Vikings are probably not anticipated to be good. So Farino with the ball, trying to work with Thomason to move this thing forward. Instead, Lonwick gets his foot on it and punts it out, and they'll get a Bolton throw in over on the near side, their right-hand side, leaving it for Collins. This is a 0-0 draw with no thrills. Just go to the statistics so far. How many shots on goal? And why do I only see total shots, not shots on target? One shot on target in the entirety of the match, and that one from Bolton. It's just, oh, nice little pass over to Sorensen. He's going to try and push it through. Oh, I thought he ran over top of his legs on that challenge, did Santos, taking out. Oh, they're saying it was 50-50. I mean, it was a 50-50 ball, but I thought that he rolled over his legs. No, okay. I don't think he made contact with his legs. I think after the ball was cleared, they ended up colliding. But a 50-50 ball that was cleared out by Santos. Well seen by the official, because I would have probably initial reaction pointed to the spot on that one. And there's Toll committing a foul, and it's going to go the other way. I heard that NVIDIA was better for for streaming with OBS, and that AMD sometimes was a little bit glitchy with the streaming software. And so whether that's true or not, I don't know. But I'm not a computer guy. Maybe, Jake, if next time I go to do things, I'll reach out to you before I go and buy the hardware stuff. Yeah, I'd say that that's a fair assessment, John. I mean, I guess, does it depend on who you are? Like for Rotherham, as an example, who's losing at some point in time, they're going to lose track with the top teams, and unless they go on a Doncaster-like run, are they going to stick a fork in their season early as the door opens up slowly? And that's just indicative of a little one who wants to end up having a chat with his dad and see what he's up to. Bolton, see, there's the perfect example of how this game has gone. Brilliant build-up all the way forward, and it ends up landing on the foot of Thomason, and he just pushes it harmlessly out for a goal kick, completely missing Collins with a pass, and it looks just ugly. NVIDIA is better for games. Well, maybe I'll start doing that. I don't know. It will be better than what I have. Lord, these teams are a bit anemic. Uh-huh. Are we just spoiled as far as effectiveness and efficiency? Are we just spoiled that are in the sense that, like, when we have ball, we tend to just put things together. We just let whoa, nice little back pass over there, and here's an opportunity, and the finish is just not there. Bad first touches that ended up from Wiles going up to Marshall, and Marshall not able to convert on anything. Not well collected at all. There are a lot of teams, a lot of red and a lot of green. Not a lot of. There's only 3 games where that sitting scoreless right now. Barnsley, Charlton, and this one. Lincoln's jumped up into third, sitting at 1-0 on the table. I don't know if they're bad. Like, the thing is defensively they've looked fine. They've looked fine in the midfield. It's just trying to get something up front. There's and the door has become a toy in our house. Snotts County losing at Bromley down in League 2. Oh, you cut your toe. 1 second. Okay, sorry about that one. Stockport really aggressively. Back, yeah, the little guy was top of this. Drawn back, like, is that at what point do you start to say is we're in a break here in this one? 40 minutes and 38 seconds and player down, and I missed why he went down as I was dealing with my own kid's injury. No, Josh with that's the most amazing update. Robot Sean is back. What the hell is going on? Because I'm not touching anything. So I don't know what's going on. Stop using the iFollow mic. I have no idea what is going on my end. I have nothing running on the computer. Is it just as simple? Is it just as simple as a? Yeah, no, it's got to be my. Well, maybe it is on your end. Well, it can't be my. If I'm going clean to you, Brendan, and it's not going clean out, that's got to be an issue with the OBS on your end, right? Maybe. Apologize for that. But Josh with the update there. Billy Waters scoring a goal. Fascinating stuff. We're finally going to get underway here, 42 minutes. But going back to my question regarding Rotherham, I mean, they've, with the preservation of 2 points, they're teetering between relegation, sitting at 20th, 21st place, and mid-table at 15th. And if they're able to get a win, they'll move up into the top half. Are they starting to get on the cusp of it? If they can't pull out some wins here, they'll just completely lose touch with the top 6 teams, and the playoffs start to fade already this early in the season. I mean, I guess you can always go on a Doncaster run. Back underway. Brendan says start to worry at 10+ games. Santos heads it down the pitch over to, no, that's not Lonwick. That's Miller, and it ends up going all the way to Nichols, and he's going to grab the ball and start to move it forward. No, he's taking his time. I mean, 42 minutes in, and it has been an atrocity of a game. This is very, 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 very much the Rotherham Huddersfield game. And maybe it's the style that Huddersfield plays, and this is part of it, is just make it sloppy and make it dirty. But I don't think so. Nobody's going to intentionally play with the number of missed touches we've seen in this game as Cogley has that and moves it forward, but Lonwick ends up grabbing it for Huddersfield. Touch over to the corner, Marshall with it, cross into the areas, out of nowhere, it's a goal. Huddersfield. That was Marshall, the forward, going over and pretending he's a left winger or the midfielder on the left side, and gets the cross in, and sole man in the box, able to put that one in. Karoma sliding over. I want to know where Santos was on that, because that's usually one of those things, and Santos got pulled out by Marshall, and that's what happened. It wasn't. No, Santos was there. That was Colin. Farino got pulled out by Marshall. Left footer in, and that was Santos just misplaying. Didn't see Marshall over on his right-hand side. And so as he starts to move forward, yeah, that was a surprising misplay by Santos, and it wasn't a head. It was his right foot that ended up making contact with it. Deandra, we can blame. Okay, Pox Doctor, can you pass the voodoo doll over to Aruba? Can you ship it immediately to Deandra? Because she's throwing out the jinx there. Are the goals in Halifax twice the size of a normal goal because Billy Waters scored? 3 minutes of added time. I don't know what Santos is one of the best center backs that I've seen in League One so far, and that was just a complete misplay. As he missed Karoma on his right shoulder, cutting towards the box, and just didn't get in position. And when he scrambled to get there, the pass was too hard, too fast, and it didn't get cleared away. Just a mistake by the captain. And I mean, finally, touches get put together if you're Huddersfield. Somebody did a thing, and it ends up in the back of the net on the first and only real chance of the entire half. Nichols with it at the back, playing catch with Lees. 2 minutes till halftime. Lonwick gets it advanced, and here they come again. Huddersfield up to Marshall again on the left-hand side, dancing, searching, and then just bangs it off of Farino, and it's going to go for a corner. Not much to do there. He only had one guy going forward. He had Farino collapsing on him, and there were 3-4 white jerseys staring at him from the box, and so he just smashes it off and will take the corner. Stockport up, Lincoln still up, and Huddersfield now up, all sitting at 13, 12 points. And for the teams that are at the bottom, you're starting to look at those teams. If Barnsley is able to grab 2 more points to go to 13, currently sitting with an extra game played. Charlton, there's a carve out and a divide that's occurring here. Right-footed in swinger near post and headed away easily. Oh, lost ball, but the whistle's going to blow for undercutting the goalkeeper there. Baxter's laying on the ground. I don't think that's a flop. I think he dove up to go and collect a ball into the box that was punched forward, and he gets low bridged by Karoma. Accidentally on purpose. back turn, but you know where he is, and you just kind of give a couple of inch step backwards to make a little contact. No call. So we're back underway, and the whistle blows, and we're to the half, which is one. Ooh, the boos. The boos ringing out at Tough Sheet Stadium at the end of the half. If you are Bolton, you are now sitting at 21st. You are into the relegation zone as it sits right now. Holy. One shot on target each. Yeah, I'll wait for Brendan to tell me if he's going to bring up the Fought Mob stats.
I'll go to them right now.
So, as to shots, total shots, 5-1 for Huddersfield. Only one each on target. And the only shot on target for Huddersfield finds the back of the net. I'll be honest, the goal itself was a brilliant bit of work. Marshall going out of his regular position to sort of run it over on the left side, grabbing that, and Karoma sliding through the back. I'm not going to say it wasn't a deserved goal, but considering how the play went for the entirety of the half, that was just an ugly, scrambled, ugly game, ugly half. I don't know. Did you see it differently than I did, Brendan?
No, to me, I mean, a lot of running around, but not at all productive. They never were really linking up more than one pass. Almost every pass by both teams was a little long, causes the guy to take time to gather it. First touches on that Huddersfield player right in the middle of the pitch with no one on him. The pass wasn't that difficult to him, and he tries to settle it, and he knocks it 2 meters away from himself. So, yeah, there was just everyone seemed off for the most part. I would say that left side of Bolton's defense is definitely where their talent is, defensively speaking. I think if I was have any progress or do anything, it should be from coming in from that right side. They're more vulnerable.
When you say attacking, we attack down the left side for Huddersfield. That's where Collins is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not talking Toll on the other side. No, I am curious. I believe Chris Farino, just from recollection, is relatively young. Chris Farino for Bolton. I'm just going to bring up his. Well, 24, so not entirely that young, but he didn't look that solid in the game against us. He's looked deplorable in this one. I mean, he had 3 failed clearances and one that potentially could have put them into jeopardy because it was right at the 18-yard box with a whole bunch of Huddersfield players all standing around looking to clear it. And so for him, this is his first game. He's a new signing from Bolton, having come over from Wickham, where he played 75 games. So he's League One familiar. The St. Lucia International. Interesting, but he hasn't looked good at all. W&G with the summary there. The top 6 of League One: Wrexham, Stockport, Lincoln, Huddersfield, Bardsley, and Charlton. For me, the fascinating stuff is what's happening at the bottom of the table. As it sits right now, the Bolton Wanderers, with all of the money they've played and with a familiar team, I'm just going to go back to the statistics there. They brought back 82.4% of the same team that they had last year. The only team that brought more players back from the team that they had last season, the only team that did that, Wrexham. Wrexham brought back 85.7% of their squad, and that's based on the minutes played by the players in each club. So if they took all their minutes, took all the players that were there, divided it all up into percentages, and it's 85.7%. Fascinating that they've got the same squad back, and right now they're sitting in 21st position with a -4 goal differential, and they're into this is their 5th game, 4.5, that they're into, and they have only scored 2 goals all season long. Hey, Mertlin, how are you? And see Jinping's box doctor. Make sure you keep the pins in the bloody voodoo doll. We'll see you Tuesday morning with the Aussie early morning start. So possession 60%, 40%, total shots 5-1. I was looking for the pass accuracy, and SofaScore seems to be only telling me the number of accurate passes. It is interesting. SofaScore does tell you where the passes and the concentration of play is. And for Huddersfield, they've had 40% in the midfield, 38%. So almost just shy of 80% of the play has been in either the midfield or the final third for Huddersfield. Bolton not really threatening by any stretch of the imagination, 23%, and just the one shot on target. I don't know, Brendan, do you take a look at the table? Anything there that stands out for you other than this match itself?
I don't. I mean, I know you want me to comment about the rest, but seeing Bolton in relegation is just pretty amazing to me. But I don't know. What else is with pretty interesting? I wasn't expecting Rotherham to be as far down as they are. Thought they would be a lot higher.
At one point, until they tied it up, and they're taking on Burton, if I recall correctly, right? Until they tied it up, yeah.
They should be winning that, right?
Handily, yeah. And until they tied that up, they're at home, is Rotherham.
Yeah, Peterborough's down in their game, right? I mean,
Reading's losing,
right? So
it's an interesting thing to see because when you see that much red, so Reading, Bristol, Exeter, Peterborough all sitting right now on the live table at 10th through 13th, and all with red next to their name. And so what you end up seeing is they're starting to get a divide after the number 7 spot. You've got Mansfield Town sitting at 8 points, and you've got Birmingham then yet to play at 10, and then everybody else, Charlton, Barnsley at 11. As it sits, Huddersfield, Lincoln, Stockport.
Reading is good though. Like in Leighton Orient isn't, and to be losing 1-0 is not.
Are they away? I bet you money if I click on it, Reading's away. Oh, they're at home.
Yeah.
What? Because Reading is I've never seen, and we saw it. We saw Reading against Wickham. Remember, we watched that game, and Reading looked like an absolute machine in that game, and I thought, holy, that Ehi Bashaman looked like next level player. Like, what's he doing in League One? And maybe it's just the quality of Max Cleworth and completely shutting him down. But or it's just Reading's just a different beast at home and away. But yeah, Leighton Orient looking to get their first win of the season. So Patty says, how's the boys? Just got out of a hockey match that they lost 9-0 and should have been 20 plus. Yikes. Everything's good on my end. This game has been tough to watch, and maybe it's just that we're spoiled. Maybe is that the sign and the takeaway from the games that we've watched and having seen. I mean, Huddersfield's sitting in 4th, and we saw them with their loss to was it loss? No, yeah, it was a loss to Rotherham, late minute goal. But all right, see you, Deandra. Hopefully we see you Monday too. We'll be here. But are we just spoiled with the style of play that we have and the quality up front that we expect and demand, and because we've seen better efficiency? Or is that what it is? Or are these just teams that every time we load them up end up having a crap game?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I remember last year getting just as many opportunities as this year and then just not knocking them in and thinking, Marriott's junk, or Mullen still hasn't got it clicking yet. And Mullen's missed some, sitters already this year, right? I mean, he should have had a couple of goals already at this point that were pretty easy for him, and he missed them. And I just wonder if it's just that little amount of luck. I mean, producing the same amount of chances and then guys just getting the yips in that last moment and not following through. And maybe that's where that momentum comes in when you're not thinking about it and you're just reacting in the moment because you're feeling good about yourself. You're not overthinking things. You just react and hit it clean, and you score when you have the opportunities, as opposed to being concerned because you still haven't scored this year or because your team isn't doing well. So then when you get that opportunity, you try to be too perfect with it or hit it too hard, or you know what I mean? Like, it could just be that momentum thing that's all the difference.
Yeah, and I've said it before, but it's me being the pessimist as I may have, you kind of look at how and what would be the reason as to why Wrexham could struggle based on their performance that we've had through the first 5 games. And to me, it's not depth, it's not injury, because I think we've got capable guys that come in and fill off the bench. I mean, you lose Cannon, you bring in Rathbone. That's arguably a step up, right? If Dobson goes down, you've got Evans. We've got coverage all through the lineup. To me, the risk of going down is a battle of form, in the sense that if we just can't be as efficient, all of a sudden we start, instead of winning by 1, we're now drawing or losing by 1, and it goes the wrong way. I like doing the fantasy leagues. The reality is it takes up so much time because I'm a perfectionist. I got to learn about every player around, and I just I don't have the time. But maybe next year as we start to figure things out.
I'm going to pull mine up for a second. I want to. I'm on the Rob Ryan Red one, and
yeah.
I think I'm doing decent, considering that I'm an American and this isn't my bag. I'm ranked 31 in the Rob Ryan Red League, and they have 418 people.
Nice.
So,
I was going to say beginner's luck, but I imagine there's a lot of that around for people playing in there.
Yeah. I'm not saying I know what I'm doing. That's just what I'm at right now. But I'm beating, I'm beating Rich by a mile. Everyone's beating Rich just about. But yeah. So actually, so the Wrexham League is almost 4,000 deep. It's 3,987 deep. I'm 98th.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's bonkers. I mean, that's 4,000
by no
people
means
signing
does
up
that mean
for
I know what I'm
EFL fantasy.
doing. Nope.
That's exceptional coverage. I mean, I get it. Rob Ryan Red, Fearless in Devotion, and I'm taking in a lot more Eat More Chips. It's interesting, and as far as we talk about the content creators and the stuff that you can find out for Wrexham, I consider the Eat More Chips gents, and I don't know if Welsh Techie's with us today or not, so I can maybe say this and he can watch it afterwards if it does at all. Is they're like the old grumpier version of Fearless in Devotion, but their production and their commentary and their flow, I find those two podcasts very similar, and I'm enjoying watching them. So Mertlin, now we got to ask you, how are you doing in it, or do you want to share? That's pretty good, impressive, Jason. 252 in theirs and 1182 in overall in Wrexham. But I think that's how a little bit of luck goes a long way in any fantasy league that you end up running. I haven't played fantasy football, and when I say football, I mean the North American gridiron version, in about 8 years, because the problem is it ends up just taking up so much of my time. I end up living and breathing the damn club. It's Football Manager, and it was impacting my emotions when players would end up going so. I was like, I just enjoy watching the game. So for me, I've kind of gotten away from it.
I was worried it was more complicated than it is, Sean. I think you can spend 5 to 10 minutes at it and be fine.
But I won't. I'm not saying it's difficult. I'm saying I'm going to sit there and probably go through all of the machinations and the whole thing. Are we getting a halftime sub? Always the sign of desperation as you pull a halftime sub. And so Adeboye is going to come in for somebody here. I'm trying to stir it up a little bit.
I will kick it back to you, sir.
Sounds good. Yeah, Jake, Brendan was talking about that earlier. Is the majority of people looking at a close game, a draw? I think 2-2's been probably what most have gone with, and that's what my selection was. I said sign of desperation, but it looks like there's going to be a Huddersfield halftime sub as well. But the thing about Wrexham and the style of play, when you look at 35%, 36, 37% possession, is if you're not exceptionally efficient, you're going to end up losing. And I could see Wrexham laying an egg a couple of times this year and getting beat. For me, what I don't see is I can't see an extended poor run of form. I can see a couple of games where they get ugly, but I'm hoping that's the case on a go-forward basis. We'll see. Hopefully I'm not sitting here talking in January and saying I was wrong. I didn't think this was possible. But Adebayo comes in, and he's going to take over. It hasn't been updated yet, but he's standing in the middle of the pitch, so I'm wondering if that's going to be for Dion Charles. It is. So Charles comes out. And I can't. How do you blame Dion Charles and sub him out as the only time where he maybe be for blame is on the pass that Matete tried to get to him that didn't go through. Oh, and we're underway. Sorry, start that clock, and I'll have to update you on the timing as we get going. And so Bolton now from right to left on your screen, Huddersfield from left to right, and that's going to be Nichols who's going to collect a goal kick early on. Mertlin's 96 and 321 in Wrexham. 11 and me, the wife. So do you just run the same team through all of the different ones that are out there? So we could do a Red Horde one, and we just, all right. Well, something to do next year then. I might be able to actually do some things. That's the goal. I have no idea what November is going to look like as far as getting this out. I mean, am I going to be in the office sitting there doing a watch along? Charlton scores up on Shrewsbury now, so that's going to put them on to 13 points and have them join us and Stockport all with 13 points at the top, and the yellow card comes out here on the challenge. And that's what I'm saying is with after the Birmingham game, and I mean, especially if they take 3 points from us, an opportunity for Bolton. That was the first time they've had an entry into the box, and that was maybe a little bit more assertive coming out of the half. I'm sure the paint came off the wall. This is Collins ends up grabbing control and trying to slide it over. And here's a nice little one to Dempsey, and he's into the area with lots of space, looking for a cutback pass. And instead, it's Halleck who goes over and knocks it out, and it's going to go for a goal kick. But you look at Birmingham then sitting at 10 points. If they end up losing, they're still 2 points up on Mansfield Town. Even in a loss, that's still a divide between 7 and 8 of 2 points. But you've got then a massive collection of teams there, all occupying the automatics in the playoffs. Sean, left-footed, out-swinger, right to the middle, and it's headed down by Santos, and it's not there, and Huddersfield's looking to counter. 2 players, and they're on the run, but there's lots coming back, and that's Collins going to come and clear this up. Huddersfield's going to do the switch. Long ball over to Sorensen. Is he going to collect it? He is right set up in the corner, and he just bangs it off of Matete, and will take the corner. This is better by both teams, actually, to start. Yeah, we'll see that. Ooh, Wigan with the beatdown. 3-0 up on the Bristol Rovers, who still, of all the teams that have surprised me so much, Bristol's at the top. And I say that because they didn't go out and sign very many players, and they had the largest turnover of any team in the league. 36% of their players returning. Their top 2 Minutemen gone, and a lot of them went to Shrewsbury, interestingly enough. There's the in-swinger corner, but it's easily headed away. That looks like Toll to me. Huddersfield with another opportunity into the area. Takes on Dempsey, left-footed, and just struck the hell out of that one. Punted it out. Did Headley. Had to have missed by about 40, 50 feet. Yeah. Like, full disclosure, I had Bristol Rovers being one of the teams that was down, going to be in the bottom 6 fighting for relegation at the start of the season. So I should really come out with a prediction video next year. I hate doing them because you just think the Canadian watching teams, and I didn't really know enough about the teams all new to know anything. Is Toll, that's his first misstep as he tries to go and clear that one. Instead, just kicks it out, and Huddersfield's going to have an opportunity for a throw in 18 yards away, 20 yards away from the box. Lee's the right back, steps up to grab it and push that one forward, and it gets cleared out again. Oh, it's going to be a Bolton throw. I thought that came off of a Bolton defender, but Huddersfield's not really complaining, and it's just cleared down. The sub, Adebayo. Dempsey, nice little tackle there, and it's to Marshall, who's on the left side. Gets it over. Headley. Marshall's. No, that's not Marshall. Somebody's awkwardly grabbing themselves. Ben Wiles. His hand, too. Oh, that's a dangerous one. Oh, up and a header, and that was a great, exceptional save in short corner. One of those things where, and he did punch that over top. Evans maybe about, 6 feet away from goal when he got his head on that, but so close to goal that the keeper was basically standing right there to be able to punch that one over top as it goes just straight down. That is an exceptional save. I thought that went into his body and cleared up, but that wasn't. That was an arm reaction in short quarter. That's one of the better saves I've seen in a long time. But corner, left-footed in-swinger from the right-hand side. Huddersfield bounced all the way out, edge of the area, for Anthony Evans to have a crack on it with the right foot, and he just punched that one over. The Bolton announcer saying every time you watch that, the save on replay, the save it looks better and better, and it did. The first time I just thought it was a position save with no reaction, but it wasn't. It was good positioning, and he got the left arm flashing the leather in hockey. Adebayo with a nice little box out, and he's got possession, 18-yard box. Bolton looking to tie this up, and handball. Referee says no. Oh, I don't know. That should have been a penalty in my eyes. But hand was about here. And to me, that's far enough away that even the reaction time and inability to react, he had it at that awkward position. And here comes Marshall the other way, taking on Toll, and Toll just neatly collects it and goes the other way. Draws it back to Baxter, and he's going to clear it up. Long ball through the middle. Adebayo heads it forward. And here comes Bolton again. Was that offside? Yeah, it goes. Collins just about a foot offside. Yeah, it was a good call. It wasn't as egregious as it was like when he collected the ball. He was probably 6 feet behind the defender, but he had the pace going through and was just a little bit early. Beat it by a foot. Shrewsbury down, so they're sitting down in 23rd. Bolton still in the relegation zone as they're staring at things. Looking a long way up the table. Like, you think about it, for them, they're now 8 points back of the auto playoff spots. Blackpool with the lead, and then that middle of the table, just a ton of red. Other than Wigan, who's pulling themselves from 3 points all the way up to the middle of the table. There's just a mess of losses. There's Adebayo with the ball, 18-yard box. It gets deflected and goes up, and it's easily collected by Nichols. Oh, it's Adebayo. I'm with you, Josh. The question is when are they going to turn it on, if at all? Like, it's them and Rotherham that I stare at and go, what the hell? You should be a hell of a lot better than this. But the reality is if you take them out of the equation, to me, that narrows it down to 7 teams fighting for the spots, and it because if you look starting at Mansfield Town going down, Wycombe's sitting in 9th for freak's sakes. That's shocking to me. Reading, I think, is too hot and cold away and at home to really be at the top spot. Wow. Stevenage up 1-0 against Barnsley. And that's Barnsley's away for that one. But once you get Mansfield Town, do you think they're going to be coming up? I don't think that they're threatening. Wycombe, Reading, Bristol, Wigan, Exeter, Peterborough all the way down in 14th. So, I mean, it's still early. We've played only, 11% of the matches? 13% after this round or something like that? It's still very, very early, but there's starting to be that divide. Is that going to be the 7 teams fighting for the 6 spots? Autos or playoffs is a giveaway by Santos, and Huddersfield not able to do anything, and they're going to get it over to the left-hand side into the area. And I think you just attack Collins every opportunity that you get, and that's going to go for a goal kick as Farino. Farino defended him well on the right side on that one. Ben Wiles not able to get it over to Marshall on the attempted pass, and it's cleared out. Well done by Farino. Baxter, long ball, flipped over. Adebayo, he's chasing it down a little bit slow going back to Nichols, but he's able to hammer that down the pitch. And I'm going to take a look at the stats here because it looks like possession's got a heck of a lot more. I'm just going to go look at the second half only. 55% for Bolton. No big chances. 2 shots to 3. So it's still fairly even when you go through things. Huddersfield with more shots, Bolton with more possession. 56 minutes just passed over on the clock. And it's going to be a throw-in for Huddersfield down the right-hand side. Lease, the right back, up to take it, and he's going to throw it out 25 yards. Lease with it, collects over on the right-hand side, try to get to Sorensen, goal line cross, and it's going to go for a corner as that's blocked by Matete. No, that's well said, Josh. And I think the taking care of business gives me solace in the style at which we play, in the nature in which we play, and the depth that we play, that I think that we're just going to be in good stead. Left-footed in-swinger from Huddersfield is going to go flat and short, and it's kind of flicked in the air. Oh, dangerous and flicked over top. That was the 2 center backs, Lonwick and Heelick. It was a flat ball to the near post, and Lonwick kind of flicks it up closer to goal, and it hits the ground, and Lonwick jumps up, and he just clears it a foot over top of the goal. Over the bar. Accidentally on purpose by Lonwick, I guess. He tried to get it towards goal, and it hit a Bolton player and then bounced over to Heelick. He's not, and another turnover, and here they come, a through ball pushed to the ground, and it's to the spot, a penalty given. And guess who? Guess who got abused? Anyone want to put it in the chat who's not watching the game? Who do you think was up the penalty in the box? Mr. Farino got beat by by Karoma, who got around him. And he just grabbed him and pushed him and pulled him to the ground. And I'm assuming Karoma will take that one, and he should. Rotherham crawling it back up the table with those 3 points. They'll jump up to 8. Stevenage pulling Barnsley back. What's going on in Stevenage? So Karoma standing over the ball, staring at Baxter. There's the whistle. Karoma staring, advancing forward, right-footed, scores. Easily plotted into the right side of the net, and the goalkeeper went the other way. Did Baxter dives low to the right. Karoma goes low to the left, and it's a 2-0 lead for Huddersfield. No way Bolton's coming back from this. The boos that we saw at the half are going to be even louder now. You can already hear the whistles and the boos. It was a well-earned penalty, to be completely frank. I mean, you had to call that. Karoma was curling to the right, had the ball beat, got inside of Farino, and Farino just gets his hands on him and drags him down to the ground. Well taken penalty kick, smooth, calm as. Those are the ones that I don't like, the overly assertive attempts that end up increasing the likelihood of them going wide. Just pick a side of the net and plot it in there with pace, and even if they go their side, you're still going to have the chance of getting it in. And that's exactly what Karoma did. Huddersfield again through Marshall, through the middle of the pitch. He's got Farino, everything going to Huddersfield's left, Bolton's right side of the pitch. They're not worrying about Toll and Santos. This kid's not going to be playing in the future. And if you're the manager, what do? I mean, you took off 3 of your best players in Johnston Sheehan, who is the Wales national team's captain, and McAtee's still sitting at the bench. And I get that you want to shake things up, but you've amputated your legs. Look at the Bolton schedule for what's coming up for them. See if they're going to have an opportunity to rescue this. Interestingly, they've got an EFL Cup game against Arsenal, so they've got Reading coming at. Ooh. Goalkeeper for Huddersfield comes out and heads it from 20 yards away because he can't grab it. Not necessarily the neatest clear. So they've got Reading at home. Then they've got interrupted by a game against Arsenal. Then they're on the road to Crawley, Northampton, Shrewsbury. Then they've got Stevenage and Burton. So they've got an opportunity to save things and turn it around, as there's an opportunity for Schoen to get it through. Schoen hasn't looked as solid as he did with us, but that's largely, I think, because the ball hasn't been advanced forward. So there's an opportunity for Bolton to pull this out if they're able to find it. But if they go through there and they run ugly for any portion of the next 5-6 games, and it's going to be a struggle, because they turn the page in the end of October with Birmingham away, Peterborough at home, Stockport away, Rotherham at home. That's a bit of a blast. Peterborough drawn even with Lincoln. And I think I actually prefer that, to be fair. Lincoln, that would pulls them down to 10 points and advances Peterborough up to 8. I don't think I'm into the position where I want a Peterborough win. I'll take the draw for them. Wiles having an animated conversation with the referee, who's having none of it. And the Huddersfield's fans are in full voice, singing loud with no teeth. "63rd minute, and just the halftime sub out of Bejo, the only sub, and there's a foul. Yeah, it still doesn't change the table much, right? It's that divide is at the number at the 7th spot, and I can see it building. We'll see. Let's review that in a month's time and see. Take a snapshot of it. Matete with it for Bolton. He's got it. He left it off, and it gets drawn back to Santos. Over to Toll on the left-hand side. Ewan Toll over to Schoen. Back to Toll. Put forward and cleared by Huddersfield, but it goes only as far as Santos, and he spins it the other way. He runs into 2-3 guys. Matete has to come and rescue it and draw it back to Toll. Well done. Toll forward. Matete with it now. Drawn down, and it's going to be a foul and free kick, Bolton. What would really make the day great is if Crawley Town can find one here. And hell, while we're at it, why not make it better and have Shrewsbury do something? Do a thing, Shrewsbury. Huddersfield fouling all over the place as Schoen just gets ran into. Sorensen aggressively putting him down and having a smile. And was that a booking? Oh, just a talking to. See, if I'm getting talked to by the referee, I'm not responding like Sorensen did there with a little cheeky smile and grin and wave off, because I know I'm eating a yellow card the next opportunity it comes. Right-hand side. Bolton with some extended possession, but they haven't been able to advance it past probably the 40-yard mark from the goal. They can get across the midfield stripe, but then they just hit a wall of Huddersfield defenders, and it doesn't go anywhere from there. 65 minutes, 32 seconds, and we'll see here if Bolton can do a thing. Ball forward, Lonwick, goes and saves that one and gets it back, and it's cleared down. Santos, midfield stripe, advances it, and we're just playing ping pong across the midfield stripe. Shown with it. Matete. He's probably been the best Bolton player, other than Santos, who's just always a rock in the back. Well, Santos had the mistake on the first goal. Lost track of Karoma, who's got 2 goals today. And here's Karoma again. He's got Toll and he's got Sorensen on his left. Karoma looking for the hat trick. Bangs it off the heels. And here comes another opportunity for Huddersfield. Evans, do you think that was the nice pass back, or did you think that deflected off? I'm not sure. Evans is gonna be a corner here from the left-hand side for Huddersfield. Not letting up, even though they've got the 2-goal lead. Still don't think Bolton's coming back from this one. Sort of watching an earnest Stockport and Crawley. And Charlton and Shrewsbury. Going to be an in-swinger from the right side. Near post, punched away by the keeper. Well, Schoen lost his footing. Still in the box, being headed around, and it's going to end up coming just outside and headed back in. It's a mass scramble. Karoma comes up with it, and he bangs it, and guess who's there? Santos. And there's another one shot. Scores! Just chance to clear, doesn't. Chance to clear, fails. Chance to clear, blocked in the back. And it lands onto Wiles' foot, and he just plots it into the far side. It's a 3-0 lead for Huddersfield as they're laying the boots to the Wanderers. Defensively, that's got to be frustrating. Like, how many opportunities were there to clear the ball? 4? 5? And just a missed clearance, headed down, put in, off the heel, doesn't go anywhere. And the Bolton fans are walking out. 68 minutes, and there is a stream to the exits. Oh, I haven't seen that level exit ever. Yeah, that's sending a message that they're not going to ensure this. Holy. That's not 1 or 2. That is a mass stream. There's a clearance, and that was Thomason. Thomason with 2 failed clearances right before, bangs it off. And Peterborough finds one against Lincoln. Oh, is that from before? That's from before. There it is. There it is. Crawley scoring against Stockport. There, I don't care. Yeah. Oh, up the football we go. Huddersfield is in a good state of mind, and the subs are coming on now. And if I'm the manager and I'm down 2-0 and we're not doing anything, I'm shaking things up at the 65th minute. But as it is, the changes are being made now. As Arfield's on for Kyle Dempsey. That was a move at the 60th minute. And Josh Sheehan finally touches the pitch here. Speaking of laying boots to clubs, Wigan 4-0 over the Bristol Rovers. And Burton telling Rotherham not so safe, not so secure. We don't want you climbing back into consideration in this one. Rotherham was up to 9th as my stream just went blue. I got the blue circle of death happening, and I'm on full pause. You can hear me, Brendan? Do you have stream? I've lost my stream. I'm sitting here staring at a spinning wheel. I'll hit the refresh button here. You might have to jump back in. I'm back. But my audio is a little bit scrambled. So it wouldn't be a game without a couple of technical gremlins showing their ugly head. So Rotherham was up to 9th on the table, and they're going to slide all the way down to the somewhere between 16 and 17. What's their goals for? Guess I could just wait for it to update. There it is, 17. -2, so they went to the bottom of the 6-point teams. Craziness everywhere. We're only 6 games in and already staring at the table and being fascinated as to the divide because of the shock of Bolton and Rotherham being down, the insanity of Crawley being mid-table. Massive turnover, got rid of what people would think, a lot of them. That's got to be an interesting game for a die, the Crawley Town man who's in goal. So I just want to take a look at the stats. Have we had any shots on target? Nothing. 2 shots by Bolton, not a shot on target in the second half. So that leaves them with 1 for the entirety of the game. 4 shots on target. 4 shots total, 1 of them on target for Bolton, just not doing anything up front. Sheehan, the sub, the Welsh captain, he gets dragged down and earns himself a free kick from about 38 yards out. I can't hear you, Brendan. Santos with it, middle of the pitch. Just kicking it. Huddersfield standing, parking the bus, happy to let them kick it around the center backs, and Sheehan scoops it over to Adebayo, 18-yard box. He's dancing, he's looking, opportunity, draws it forward. Sheehan's now collected and passed it back. No call on the tackle there. Interesting. If he got contact with him, I think you have to call that foul because he had to go through him to get there. And instead, it's going to be a free kick going the other way. Matete. A little over-exuberant in the tackle. And what's interesting to me, and Brendan can give his opinion at the end of this one, I haven't heard back from Tilton Town to find out whether they're available. Seen, but not responded to. But subs for Huddersfield. Helix taking the armband. It's a 3-0 game, but I haven't been impressed by Huddersfield, at least in the first half, especially the first half. They've been much better the second here. I can get that. Still really low on the volume, Brendan, in my ear. And I haven't changed my audio settings, so I believe it's coming from you. Producer B, thankfully taking the controls on this season. Sheehan neatly finds an open space and then gets hauled down. He's going to get a free kick. Sean with it, draws it back. Scott Arfield, the Canadian. And there's an opportunity for Sean, but that first touch lets him down and it goes too far, and the defender just easily clearing that, and a kick. If it's a kick and a clearance, it's a click. And Santos. That's an interesting foul. Ladapo had the sub that came on for Huddersfield, colliding with, and I think it was an incidental contact as Santos misplayed the ball and it actually got behind him. And as he was turning to go and collect it, Ladapo just kind of bumps into him. Oh no, he stuck the left leg out. On replay, that's a right free kick. Stuck the left leg out and Santos turned and ran over top of him. No changes around the league. Bolton, extended possession as far as the midfield stripe, and it's basically the center backs and Sheehan that are sitting there trying to find a way to come forward. He just runs the ball all the way over, beats two guys, but then passes the ball directly. That's got to be a sub that came in. I haven't even seen. Oh, it's not. I haven't called Jonathan Hogg's name. Well, he's supposed to be the sub out. What's going on? Yeah, I didn't call Hogg's name the entirety of the match, and he's even subbed out at the 66th minute. And the first time I seen number 6, I thought it was him. I don't know my numbers, and that makes it a challenge to end up calling a football match. 76 minutes, 45 seconds. The play is slow. Huddersfield has it, and they're taking their time getting the ball back underway. Sean able to head that one forward to the midfield stripe. And it's back to Sheehan, who flicks it forward. Arfield with it. Moves it over to the right. Spots look good. Him and Sheehan in the middle of the pitch have looked relatively good. Sean. Cole. Just kicking around the backs. Like if you're Bolton, you're down 3-0. You just kick it around, and then it's a long ball to the corner that's just going to run all the way out, unless it's it's cleared instead. And Bolton has it. They could have had an early chip, but Matete with it, driving the center of the pitch. 3 guys collapse on him, and they ends up scooting out. Thomason, Arfield. Arfield loses it, and Huddersfield just chipping. Ladapo, left side, draws it back, and Huddersfield just happy to take some possession and kick it around in the midfield. And allow Bolton to come and run at them and see if they can open something up here. Headley gives it up, and Arfield with it. Bad touch. Tried to scooch it right to Adebayo. Not able to get it to him, and he had one of the subs. I believe that. I thought that was a sub. I'm seeing numbers that just aren't there. Oh, I know why. Fascinating. Was that McAtee who came in as a sub and mine didn't update? I think that was 45 that you saw over on the right-hand side. I'm seeing things. Subs for Huddersfield. No goals in a long time anywhere in the league. W&G has gone completely silent. And that's not a criticism, W&G. It's just there's nothing going on around the league as it sits. Would like to see Shrewsbury do a thing. Let's call it and put that out into the universe. Huddersfield, 18-yard box. Tried it whiffed on the entry and just rolls harmlessly for a goal kick. Pena not able to get that. That text message confirming that the deal is on and we're going to be buying a house and moving. Yes, get in. An extra bedroom means I get an office. Oh, horrible giveaway. It's 4-0. That's a gift. Merry Christmas, as the keeper has 3 Huddersfield players directly in front of him, and he just passes it to I don't even know who collected that and put that in, but 6 yards from the 6-yard box and just gives him the ball as easy as and cleared into the back of the net. It's a laugher in Bolton. Go 4-0 up, and it's Evans who just collects the gift. Yikes. Ian Evatt, you're going to lose your job, man. You're going to lose your job. And that's Sheehan, plays it back to the keeper, and he just advances it forward to Evans, who grabs it and punts it in. What just happened? Sheehan plays it back, and there's three guys attacking from Huddersfield. The goalie who's sitting there by himself, and just collected and plotted into the left side of the net. So, yeah, the boys don't want their own room. They want to be together, which means I'm going to have an office / studio and up and until and if we have a third. And then I don't know what I'm doing. Banished to the basement. Hey, that's a shot on target for Bolton. I'm curious to see the stands. And now, after that fourth goal, coming up to the 82nd minute mark here in 10 seconds. And now the older guys. It was the young guys who were leaving early, and now it's the old guys who are leaving now. And the stadium looks noticeably vacant. But Brennan, in my ears, what would you say? 20%? Maybe even 15%? The Tough Sheet Stadium is empty. Ooh, here's a scramble. Lees and they got intertwined, and then there was a smack of the hands, and the Huddersfield coach has to go over to the edge of the technical area and kind of suggest to Lees to leave that one alone. And that was McAtee laying on the ground. Man, I'm curious to log into the Bolton podcast after this one. Fan Zone Pod probably being the only one who stepped up so far for the response. I thought I had somebody potentially lined up for something, but it doesn't look like it's going to go after this. But there's time yet before Monday, so maybe we'll rescue that one out. Still, Huddersfield not letting up. This isn't park the bus and sit with it. They've earned themselves a corner here as Cogley ends up having to clear that one. Just the second half pressure, and this is one of those ones. Huddersfield's up 4-0. Have they deserved the win? Yes, but I would say this is more a situation of Bolton losing this game than it is of Huddersfield winning this game. Like, it's just been brutal around the pitch. The play of Chris Farino. I mean, when you have your captain who doesn't make any mistakes, he makes one on the first one. That one certainly at Huddersfield earned that one in the circumstances. But once that one went in, I think Bolton got into their own head because everything from that point on was mistake after mistake after mistake and just nothing up front. The nervous, worrying look on the face of Ian Evatt. Adebayo with it, not able to control it. It's pushed over. Adebayo regains control and gets it to Sean. Sean across the middle to Sheehan. Bolton trying to do a thing here, and the sub for them over on that right hand side. No. Is that a sub? Yeah, McAtee came in on the 76th minute, so I think that was indeed him. Sheehan came in for Farino, so they've rotated around their back line a little bit. Going to be a lot of tape. Matete not able to get that pass through, and like Bolton, even with Huddersfield up 4-0, Bolton still not able to crack the midfield. Like they just the 40-yard box, so they're going to go long here and try and chase this one down from McAtee, and McAtee thought that he had the time to be able to curl out wide and come back and clear that as a corner or as an entry into the box, and he lets the ball run out because he took a circuitous route, misjudged the weight on the ball, and just lets it roll out. Brutal performance. There's the load-ups. 86th minute. The Bolton announcer saying they've been their own worst enemy, Bolton, and I agree with that statement. I'm curious what the Huddersfield commentary has been like, and if they've been saying that Huddersfield is dominated and controlled, and I mean defensively they've certainly been there, but up front they just were given gifts all game long, and credit to them, they capitalized on them. When you think 4-0, and there really should have been arguably 5. That's even with an epic save. But Baxter gives, and then he taketh away, or he taketh away, and then he gives. He makes one amazing save, and then gives one onto the foot of Evans, who allows him to just pot an easy goal. Ronwick with the first mistake, just missing a pass there as they were wasting time in the midfield, playing as between their back line and their midfielders, just with control. And it's basically Toll and Santos, the only two center backs on the pitch. Bolton trying to move forward, and nothing there. Adebayo goes and collects it behind Lonwick, and he tries to enter it in, and Lonwick just kicks it out for a corner, and here comes Bolton and Sean running over to the far flag on the right side from his normal position on the left wing. It has been quiet. I'll take that one. Thanks, W&G. Exeter drawing even with Blackpool. Blackpool then going to go down to 3 points and drop into the relegation zone and move Bolton at least out of that into 20th. And for Exeter, that'll give them an extra point and move them up into the mid-table positions. 9th through 14th, all sitting at, well, now 15th, all sitting at 7 points. And that's the fascinating section for me, is you've got tons of teams on 7 points. Mansfield, the only team on 8 at the moment. And then that's where the split is. Fans still lazily clearing the stadium. Kudos to those that have stayed. Stevenage. Woo. I like that because Stevenage, part of that mob on 7 points, smacking the goal differential. Because prior to this game, is that table right? Goals for, goals against. Oh no, I was looking at goal differential. But lowering the goal differential for a team that's near the top of the table is always a good thing. So beat them up, Stevenage. Grab another one while you're at it. Referee, there was having a word with Josh Sheehan. I missed that. I saw the ball come back the other way. Don't know if in the 90th minute, why are we blowing down to admonish a player for the play of the ball and actions away from the ball? Pushed forward, 18-yard box. Out harmlessly, goal kick coming. That was one of the subs. Radjulovic, unable to make a play over on the outside of the 18-yard box. 4 minutes of added time added to this one. The stadium is noticeably empty except for the top half where the away fans are, which are still in full voice. Longwick, header. Bolton, header back. On. And it lands. Nope, it's still going back and forth. And then it just rolls out harmlessly for a throw into Bolton. Man, it's got to be frustrating. And the thing about Bolton that you'll recall, young squad, other than Scott Arfield, these are all, 27 and under, really, except for Mr. Arfield in his mid-30s. Collision there between Adebayo and Kellick, but nothing really comes of it. Inadvertent. Matete with it. Draws it back to Santos, and now maybe is Bolton. I mean, are they just going to run this out, or are they still going to search? It's going to be a long ball for Adebayo. We give credit to him, is still busting his hump trying to preserve that. And he can't. It rolls out for a throw-in. But he's put in an effort since he came in as a sub at the half. Ian Evatt just looks despondent on the sidelines. Arms crossed, head down, biting his lip. Full time, Charlton over Shrewsbury. So we're even on points. We've got 6 goals, six higher on goal differential. And a game in hand. Wigan finishes that one. The beating is over, at least if you're the Bristol Rovers. 4-0. We'll stay in tune and in line and get the whole table update and go through the stats, but really building up towards Monday now. Monday night football. And they say that St. Andrews is a special place for its night games, so I'm curious to see how that all looks as Bolton has an opportunity. Scott Arfield bangs it off the defender. The Canadian lad. Huddersfield with the possession. Longwick just clears it. Whistle's got to go within the next 20, 30 seconds here. I don't think the ref's going to give any extra time. As shown, has it. 18-yard box. Draws it back. That's McAtee with it. McAtee holds it. Puts it forward. Sheehan runs across. you just look at these names like Sheehan, McAtee, and to be fair, they haven't done anything either since subbing in. So I don't know what's happening. Yeah, it's Thomas. It's been crazy. Full times Crawley with the 1-1 draw against Stockport, helping us out. Thank you, Crawley Town. And there's the full-time whistle as the games start to wrap up. So that draws Stockport down and holds them at 11 points. Well, I guess they gained 1, so they went from 10 to 11. And so we're still going to play our 6th game. Obviously, there were us, Charlton, Barnsley, other teams, Bristol Rovers down below, still had one of the 3 teams that played during the international window. As the scores start to solidify on the table. Ooh, late goal by Blackpool against Exeter. That's fascinating because what it does is the psychological outcome of that goal is not to be understated. That Blackpool out of the relegation zone and puts Bolton into the relegation zone. Bolton, their goal differential, -7. 2 goals for, 9 goals against. Fascinating. Brendan, are you joining in?
Yeah. I just had the table up while you were talking about it.
Right. And I don't know if it's just going to be my headset. They'll have to tell you when you log in as to whether the volume got lowered on your end or not, because I'm still struggling to hear you. And it hasn't really substantively changed on my end. You're probably still loading up. I think I prefer Sofa Score now that it's clicked into me. Just going through things. Man of the match, according to Karoma, obviously, with his 2 goals, but Anthony Evans, he's at 8.4, getting the benefit as far as his Sofa Score. Rotherham finishes 2-2 in Burton, so that's fascinating for Rotherham, trying to get out of the bottom, and they're still going to be sitting there in about 17th with the draw. Okay. Brendan, why don't you chat with us for a second? We'll see how your volume is.
Yeah.
That's better.
I'm surprised.
Thoughts on that one?
Thumpings today, huh?
It has been. What did you think of Bolton's performance? I said that was, other than the first goal, I consider that more of a Bolton loss than a Huddersfield win. I mean, Huddersfield didn't play poor by any stretch of the imagination in the second half. They were solid, but I think Bolton gifted that one to them. Do you agree with that assessment, or am I talking out of my backside?
Yeah, I don't think either team looked particularly great in the first half, and I think Bolton came out very strong in the first, say, 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes of the second half, and then they just wilted and made a bunch of stupid mistakes and never was really able to put anything together. So
yeah, it's interesting. Deandra says Stockport's in 4th, love it, and I agree. But then you look at it and you're like, they're undefeated, 3 wins, 2 draws. They've got goal differential of 7, and that's how tough it is at the top of the table. Is you can be undefeated and still be sitting in 4th. Now, granted, they have a game in hand over Charlton, and so they pull a win out in their next match, and arguably they're still in the near the top. But it's losing points and dropping points seems to hurt more this year, both in keeping pace, and I think it's a byproduct of only having 2 autos, and therefore 6 is the barrier to get into the playoffs instead of 7. Doesn't leave a lot of room. What do you think the message is going to be in Bolton? Actually sitting there staring into the abyss of being in relegation to League Two. If the season was to end right now, I get it. It's 11% of the way through, 13% of the way through the season. But do you think that impacts things psychologically?
I think so. I think, 5 games in and being down where they are, I think it's more only the one win that they just don't see, and this being a thumping at home, that really kind of drives the nail home. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, I would imagine most of the Bolton fans, because of expectations, they're not going to be happy.
Yeah.
There'll be a few optimistic people, if they have fans like John, they'll be like, oh, don't worry about it. Only 5 games in. We got good players.
There's the John shot. Is he still with us? I hope he's with us.
He's probably hiding, right? But yeah, I think all those things are true, right? It's only 5 games in, and the ups and downs of a season, you're going to go through a 5-game span where you play like crap and you only get a few points out of it, right? Like 4 points in 5 games. Really, 4 points in 5 games, yeah, not great, but it's certainly better than 1 point or no points in 5 games. So, yeah, I mean, there's certainly 4 points there. They're certainly not so far back they can't mount a comeback, but and they did lose to a good team. Mm-hmm. So it's not like a really bad loss. Like, you didn't get spanked by Shrewsbury, right? Like, got spanked by them, then I think maybe you have cause to worry. But I do like, someone that we thought was going to be an automatic, struggling early, giving them a lot of work to do.
Yeah, it creates an interesting dynamic for the season in their attempt to rescue it. Do you think that that there might be a managerial change that happens here?
I don't know that. I mean, I can say that I could see a short leash based on the quality of players. Thinking, like, you can't give them too much time because you can't fall, too far behind. I think I'd give them another couple of games. I think I'd see how they respond to that ass whooping. Let them get on top of them, whip them into shape, and see how they respond after this ass whooping. And,
well, it's not like Ian's new. I mean, he's been with the club since 2020, 233 games. He's got 117 wins, 53 draws, and 63 losses. That's an impressive record. Barrow, where he was before, it wasn't as good, but not bad. 40 wins, 21 draws, 29 losses. He's got capacity, but the fascinating thing, I mean, tell me if I'm wrong. The UK and football, the managerial turnover seems to be way higher. They're a lot more trigger happy in pulling the trigger than we see in North American sports. Do you agree with that?
I think so. I would expect. I mean, I think it's interesting because they pay so much for the players that swapping in a coach is how they kind of motivate a team, it seems. Mm. But for me, if a new coach comes in, like, if you bring in a coach whose style is just too different from what you're running, you'd have to expect it's going to take time for everyone to get on the same page and be running something else, presuming it's considerably different or exotic or something that would be tricky for certain players. If you don't have the right personnel and you bring in a coach, he wants to change stuff up, I don't think you'd be clicking in the first several games. You're almost guaranteeing yourself to set yourself further back for a little bit.
Well, yeah, you do get into those odd runs, and I think the perfect example of that was, I'm a Vancouver Canucks fan for hockey, and when they hired Bruce Boudreau back a couple of seasons ago, he went on some ridiculous run to start things off where they ended up winning like something like 14 or 15 games in a row. But those are few and far between. I think you're right. Yeah. Usually you get that crazy shocker. But man, you look at the table after today's results, and I'm like, there's so many fascinating narratives. What's Crawley doing in the middle of the table? What's Rotherham 17th, Bolton 21st? What are they doing down there? There's really no surprises up front, except I was expecting this to be 10 teams battling for 6 spots. Do you think that it's starting to narrow to 7? Like, as I was referencing, like, I look at the teams that are Mansfield's in 8th, Stevenage in 9, Wickham in 10. Peterborough I can see drawing back in. They're sitting at 11th. Reading's sitting at 12th. I don't see Crawley hanging around. And for Peterborough, a draw today, but as the little ones are going to town, as a 1-1 draw against Lincoln is a well-deserved win. I can see potentially Peterborough joining the group, but of the teams that are down there, I don't know.
Yeah, I have no read on Wigan. I don't think Exeter's a top 10 team, most likely. I don't get that impression. I get the impression Wigan could be, and the same thing with Bristol Rovers. They could be. A lot of people thought Blackpool would be up there. Not sure.
I didn't have Blackpool, but I'll be honest, Charlton at second. I don't get the whole Charlton thing, and maybe speaking to the managerial stuff, maybe it is as important. When I looked at Charlton, they went out and got a couple of good players this year during the window, but didn't go over the top. They obviously lost somebody special in Dobson, so to me it was kind of a neutral move. But last year they went on that crazy run, 14 games, whatever it was, where they were without a loss at the end of the season and sort of rescued things and drove up the table late. And I thought, and that was after they did a managerial change. And so when they were coming into the offseason, people were like, well, they've changed their manager and he's got it figured out. And so they're going to do awesome. And I was like, yeah, but the players aren't really that different. So I just,
but that would speak to why Wrexham's doing so well, right? Like, there's camaraderie, there's familiarity, stability. Like that's why
I suggest things even out statistically. You're not going to see like what they had last year where they lost so many games in a row at the start of the year and then they flipped it and went mass wins. I would have thought that things would have leveled out and statistically just been more of a spread of a couple wins here and a couple losses there and a couple of draws here and away they go. And I thought points wise that's probably what they deserved with the club that they had. And at the end of the season, they just went about it uniquely. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the managers really, really, really matter in football. And this guy's, or it's the camaraderie, it's the connection that they've got. And they've just, the sauce is good in Charlton as it sits right now. Could be.
Yeah, I mean, I would figure that managers, again, this is my ignorance to football, but compared to basketball where the coach could be calling plays throughout the whole game constantly,
right,
and making multiple substitutions and any amount of substitutions, calling timeouts at the right time to stop momentum, like the amount of influence a coach can have in a basketball
in-game management,
or a football team. I want this play, I want that play, timeouts, and decisions to go for it, not go for it. All huge. Same thing even in hockey. Here, you have limited number of substitutions. You could yell at them to change formation and stuff, but again, like it just seems like your impact shouldn't be as significant as it is in those other sports.
In-game management, out-of-game management. Does it matter? I don't know. That's an interesting perspective. It certainly puts more weight and obligation on the football managers to do well. Andy reminding us not to draw any big conclusions until we get another 5 or 6 games in on this one. And W&G identifying that if Birmingham wins on Monday, they're guaranteed second place. If they score 3 goals, they're in first. Are they guaranteed second place? If they draw, if they win, they're guaranteed. Yes, if they draw, because they'll then have one, so they'll jump over Charlton. And they'll have a game in hand as well. And so Birmingham has the opportunity to really assert themselves. Tactical Dev saying, mate, that game was a joke. Everyone left after the 3rd goal. We noticed that. Ian's getting sacked in the morning. And that was the interesting thing that we were talking about. Tactical, if you just joined us, is Ian's got a long positive history with Bolton. So do you throw that all away and change it up now? I'll tell you this much. I would love to be a new manager coming into the Wanderers because you've got the players. And if you're able to turn it around, you'll look like you're the second coming, right? It's It's interesting. I think that that to me, watching that game, that's players more than it is coach, because I trust the coach because of his history. I mean, 220. This is his 221st game. No, 234th game as a manager over 4 seasons with Bolton. That's no slouch. Wrexham, we're either first or second. I know there was a message earlier that said that we could go down to third. I can't see that as a possibility unless, I guess what you're saying is if we end up our goal differential, it'd have to be a 6-something drubbing for us to go down into third, because nobody else is playing for a while. Yeah, I get it. We were saying, like, if it's absolutely shocking for us that Bolton would be in the situation that they're in, and they didn't look like a bad squad against us by any stretch, but there was absolutely nothing today, and gifts given left, right, and center. I don't know if you were in the stadium and if you left the gift to Evans. I mean, the first goal was well deserved by Huddersfield, and that one I'll give to them. The second one, that was a horrible misplay by your right back, who had himself a shocker of a game. I don't know who the other options are on the back line. Santos is amazing. Toll is impressive, but was it Farino? Why do I have the names escaping me? Chris, I'm gonna have to find it. Called his name all game long, and then now I'm forgetting. Yeah, Chris Farino had himself a shocker of a game. A full swap is what's being asked. I'm interested, while you're there, McAtee, Sheehan, Johnston all being sent to the bench in favor of Dempson and Matete. And to be fair, Matete, I thought of all of the players for Bolton was probably the best of the starters. And Cogley, I'm shocked that Sheehan, not so much Cogley being in for Johnston, but Dempsey being in for McAtee and Matete being in for Sheehan. I went, wow, that's a bold move by Ian in a position where your job is potentially on the line to rattle things up. So I'm interested on your take on that. Wrexham's got the benefit, as I said earlier in our broadcast here. We came in with the highest number of returning players. So I thought that we would be okay out of the gate. But I thought the same thing of Bolton. Bolton, 82.4% of your team returned based on minutes played. I would have thought that there would have been some comfort. Same managers, same players, same everything. And what do you add? You add McAtee, Scott Arfield, who I thought looked okay today. I don't think Scott's ever going to give as a Canadian. I know him from watching him in the National League, our national team in Canada. I thought he'll be steady but never impressive.
I thought it's funny what Technical Dev said. That's the first time I've seen anyone give a lot of say that they want Parky. All we hear is people criticizing him: hoofball, archaic, unwatchable football. You guys are going to have to change your style if you want to go up in levels, and then now Tech Dev's like, we'll take him.
If you look at FOTMob stats for Wrexham and you see no possession and I don't think we do the long ball as much as we have since the second half of last season. We certainly do look for it, but that's a byproduct of changing it up to try and get things to the wings in our 3-5-2 that we run. I think that a lot of fans look at the stats and go, statistically, you look like a horrible team. The only stat that stands out is your efficiency and your effectiveness in being able to score goals when you have opportunities. That's it. Our shots on target and goals from those shots on target is exponentially higher than everywhere else. And so we look like a bad team, and statistically, but if you watch Wrexham, when we come at you and counterattack in a wave, and we have the ability to recycle over and over the ball when we're in that push with our press when we turn it on, it's a lot of fun to watch. It's give up the ball and sit back and defend, and then the light switches on and you blast the crap out of it. And so we shoot cannons instead of target practice. I like Bolton, and I really of the fan bases that we've run into, they've been the most rational that I've run across in 3 seasons of football.
I thought they weren't going to be either. I was impressed with them too. I thought they were going to be. I just got the impression that they were going to be one of the biggest shit talkers, and they weren't. So,
yeah, we're just better and more wise when we have the ball, and I think that our system sets us up well with the pace of our wingbacks to get back to help our back three, and the coverage that as we do the switch and our ability to work left side, right side. I like our system, and it's entertaining to watch. And so long may it continue, and we can talk about all of those sorts of positives. It's not about possession, it's about the shots. And that's the thing, is it seems to work with overwhelming stuff. I thought and Bolton, or sorry, Peterborough and Birmingham run the same setup, and so we've just recently seen it as far as their formation, and so it's going to be the same sort of control. They're going to look to control the midfield and build narrow through the middle, and we're going to be trying to like Dobson's going to have himself a game. Dobson is the cog on what happens in the game. Ogonko is going to have to make some saves,
and
Dobson's going to have.
I keep seeing Lee injury.
I don't know as well. I know Cannon was there. There were pictures of him playing. Lee was potentially, and I heard that late when I made those cards that I've sent to you already. I put asterisks by the names of the players who potentially have knocks, for both sides, and I didn't put an asterisk near Lee, and so I don't know if an injury got picked up and where it got picked up and how. But I've heard some rumblings.
Well, we've talked about this before, and like you'd think that the likely move would be Cannon back in and Rathbone, but if Cannon isn't 100%, I don't want to see Jones out there, right?
No,
I want Rathbone in for Cannon, and then you bring in McLean from the wing. Maybe you have him in the middle. You move Rathbone up into Lee's spot, and then you put Revan out on the left,
which gives you a big step down on offense. Like McLean for Lee is a big step down in offense.
Well, you slide Rathbone forward. He can be the attacking midfield. And
but we run two. Cannon on the right, Lee on the left normally, right? And then you'll have Dobson in the middle, and they'll come back and assist. But
yeah, I know that's how they do it, but that seems to be more defensively. I know they're supposed to be running the 2 wide midfielders. But what you end up seeing is Lee cheating forward. You know what I mean? And then the 2 midfielders kind of slide a little towards his side. Yeah. And then Cannon's the next one who'll go, okay, now I'm going. Where he'll burst up, but he also comes flying back. He's more likely to get back than Lee. It doesn't, I don't. I think, though, that
I'll accept that.
McLean's very good with both feet compared to many of our players. So I feel like he can get some stuff done in the midfield, and I think he's composed. He's not going to be rattled. And the thought of him and what's his name? Just killing people in the midfield, wiping them out.
For us, Dobson?
Dobson, thank you. I don't know why I blanked on Dobson, but McLean and Dobson in the midfield would just be terrifying. Like, I don't think you want to be bringing it up there. You better be going wide.
Well, and if Lee is injured, I would say that you're exactly right, that's probably the mix that you would want, because if you're at home, you might want to find somebody to stir the drink, but we don't have another attacking midfielder like that plays a similar role as Lee, right? And really none of our midfielders are the same. Billy Waters was named man of the match. It is a weird day in football. it's one of the weirder days we've had in football when Billy Waters gets named man of the match. Watch him be National League Player of the Month.
Yeah. They're giving goals for anyone who can hit the upper decks on a shot. So Billy Waters was killing it today.
Man, we are horrible people. But you look at our midfield. Dobson is an aggressive defensive specialist. Evans is your defensive specialist who's positionally in control. You've got Cannon with his blast of a foot who is more defensively responsible than he is offensive, but he's got a weapon. Brendan, you're getting scolded. And then you've got Lee, who's a quasi forward, and Rathbone, who's a straight up box to box guy who just controls both and doesn't really give you much on the offensive end, except for his pressure capacity and his ability. We don't have a lot of similarities there, but for Lee, to me, because of his ability to be essentially a quasi forward, is different than the rest of the guys. But if you're going away and you want to try and eke out an ugly win or a draw and make it tough for the home squad, McLean in the midfield, I think you're right, is the option. And especially because how do you keep Revan out of the freaking lineup? Like every time we see him, he's doing something. And there, Goofy just says exactly that. And I did start my conversation before I read that, but Goofy says, I think Revan deserves a start. He's been putting in good performances. I think he has to. And Brendan, you can carry on with that thought. Like you've been a fan of Seb since he's got here.
Without a doubt. But the problem is you're stacking, like they tried him on the guys that are almost that you can't take out. Like we have so much off of Barney on the right side, and McLean is that heart. Now that he's made captain, it's hard to take him out. He brings that edge and everything. I understand you're getting it with Dobson, but if you're going to make him captain and everything, you can't be sitting him on the bench all the time. So unless McLean's still injured from his foot, you got to get Revan out there, and you got to get Revan into the game much earlier. His speed is impressive, and we've seen him do corners and be thoroughly impressed with the service he's bringing there. His crosses have been on point. He's not a one-trick pony. He's not just blowing guys away with the speed down the left and blindly crossing it. He always has time to get his head up and put it on point. And having him and Barney on the edges, instead of trying to pick out where Palmer is and trying to hit him, stand him up, and one pass off to Marriott, I think now you can mix it up. You can when we get those stops and Cleworth and O'Connor are trying to clear it, they can cross all the way to the far wing on both sides. You can do that with McLean, but he's more focused defensively a lot of the time, I think, where he's not outrunning, whereas you'd expect that you can just go put the ball way out there and Revan will run it down. Same thing with Barney. So I think that would give you a lot of options on counterattacking if you were able to run those guys that way.
Goofy saying, to your point, Maka is good, but I don't think he should be captain. I had that wonder and thought prior to the season, but I think since the armband has gone on, he's toned himself down. Yes, he can be a bit of an immature. The it smells motion to the Shrewsbury fan, the kiss.
I agree with you. There's plenty of times we thought he could have purposely gone off the rails and got that extra card, got out of the game, and the guy sliding into his legs, and then he doesn't do anything. He just took it. Like he definitely seems like this was you give him the responsibility and he steps up and goes, okay, now I can't be that guy. That was my role when I wasn't captain, but now I'm captain. Boom.
But I think the in-game stuff, or while the game is happening and the ball is moving and he's more reserved, I think the reactions to the fans and those situations remain the same, right? Whether it be his celebration when we scored against Shrewsbury and him just giving the old little shrug. You had the smell thing.
We haven't seen him in the locker room.
I don't think those are going to change.
Is he pumping guys up beforehand? Is he talking to them at halftime? Are they playing more together? Are they giving a more solid effort? Is he a large part of that? And the best way to keep him engaged is to have him on the field a
in
lot.
that role. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you why I want him as captain and starting more than anything else is those pictures, and I believe it was Fearless in Devotion on Twitter. It could be Rob Ryan Red. Is those shots of him coming out of the tunnel and the focus that he has, and the one against Shrewsbury, you see Benning in the background, and I think it's Benning, and just looks scared, and maybe it's intimidation stuff. Odds on Bolton next to sack their manager, I think, are pretty high. I mean, the tactical dev was here and was saying they were calling for it. Patty, the odds, I think it's a mistake. I think it's a mistake because the guy has 234 games with you, and he's won way more than he's lost. I think you've got to ride him especially because the series of games that Bolton has now is a little bit easier. They're going to get a run of games that I think that they can turn this thing around in the next batch of games. Then they hit another stretch. I think you give him a couple. Like they've got Reading, which isn't the easiest, but then they've got Crawley, Shrewsbury, Stevenage, Burton. Out of those next 5 games, I think you can give them 2, right? If it's failing, then whoever comes in has 3 games to try and figure things out before you hit Birmingham, Peterborough, and Stockport, and you don't end your season. So for me, I'm a no fire guy, but then also I'm not in Bolton, and I'm not there with the expectations, and so I can appreciate that it's going. I think it's probably more likely than not he'll be fired. I'll say it's a 60-40 split.
I agree with you. I think they probably hold off at least a game or 2. If they lose next game, yeah, gone. But I'm thinking, if he wins the next 2, it'll quiet down.
You've got a home game against Reading. Reading doesn't play well away. They're a mid-table borderline fight for the playoffs squad as far as their early form goes, and where I expected them to be personally. So I think you give them that run, and if Bolton can't run with a club that's sniffing around the playoff spots, and at home, then I think at that point you have to consider turfing them, especially because the new manager can then come in and have a build-up, because that end of October run with Birmingham, Peterborough, Stockport, Rotherham, that's a nasty blast of 4. So, Kim, if we had a comment of the match for the neutrals, I think that would take it. Teams fire their managers in the EFL if they sneeze wrong. He's skating on very thin ice. I agree with you. If this was a North American club, I think it'd probably be a 10% chance of him being canned. I've gone to 60 because I know that the manager's turnovers were really, really high in the EFL. There have been changes when teams have been rolling really well. They still get turfed. I don't know. I think give it another 10 minutes here in the chat. If you guys have any comments of the game and want to slide in, feel free to do that. We're not going to be covering. Brendan, do you want to do it? We tried to find somebody. I've reached out personally to a couple people on Twitter who I thought would be good to cover it. They've not politely declined. They're busy. Deandra's busy. Deandra, I do think that for a match, even if I'm doing it, I think it'd be wonderful to have you in, even just to provide some commentary and additions to the matches, and maybe you'll get more comfortable, and then you can fill in every once in a while. Would be nice, because I do want to cover the women's matches, but I'm going for a stroll / jog through Stanley Park tomorrow morning. Yeah, I think Crawley's was one. Rotherham, where did they get their coach from? He swapped clubs last year and went to Rotherham, and when he left a team that was near the top of the table, if I recall correctly. But yeah, that's exactly it. Hey, I got Deandra to commit to that, so that's good. So hopefully, I think it's Swansea they played. Let's go to the Wrexham women, Wrexham AFC women, and I'm still waiting for their cup announcements as far as Cardiff City tomorrow. And man, Cardiff City. If you saw that video that I put out there, and if you haven't, you can go ahead and find it, where I was talking about the importance for the Welsh clubs to try to do well in the qualifying matches to gain points so that you could get a second club from Wales into it. Holy, did they get bashed? And Twente from the Netherlands 7-0, and then they played North Macedonia. I'm sorry, as a Canadian who doesn't know the European leagues very well, especially on the women's side, but you sit there and you look at, the top Welsh club is going to be playing the top Macedonian club. I would have thought Wales wins that every day of the week, and they lost that one too. So they get the single point coming out of that. Not enough to get anywhere close to adding the added 2, and I think that's frustrating. Things will get better because they've gone semi-pro. They're going to be able to hold on to some talent and keep moving things forward. But that's a bit of a let-off and unfortunate. But anyway, so Cardiff City is the next game, and why can't I find the matches after that? Matches, there we go. So that would be Cardiff City tomorrow at 9 o'clock in the morning. I'm going to be running it then. And then they've got Britain Ferry. The one after that, that one will be interesting to see, because Britain Ferry, arguably when we got promoted, it should have been Britain Ferry. They played exceptionally. I believe that's who we ended up playing in the final to get relegated. And that was all because of Dell's performance that got the team up. So then they've got Swansea the week after that. So it stays the same. Actually, it'll get worse for Wales. And it's because the only time where they had more than 1 point was Cardiff Met. And actually, I think they have one more season with Cardiff Met. Cardiff Met did win a couple of games when they went in 4 years ago now. So once that one falls off, they'll be at like the minimum points you can collect. And you really need to get 3 points, above 3 points. You've got to get into the at least the knockout round. After the mini tournament, you've got to get into the knockout round and preferably get a win there. If you get into the other matches, into the actual championship, there's tons and tons of points available, and it's possible to, if you go on a run of getting enough points to ensure there's 2 points just because of your performance for one club that goes on a group run. But anyway, disappointing turnout. Can't necessarily hang it all on Cardiff. There's some development of the league continues to still be, and we'll follow that through the season and everyone. But yeah, the Crawley draw is fascinating to me, and I'm interested on how they performed. I didn't look at the stats on that one. And Crawley, Stockport, let's bring that up.
I just noticed, Sean, that you went with last year's Wrexham shirt. And it was almost like we coordinated. I went with a last year's Wrexham shirt too, because we're not doing a game. So it's like we coordinated and everything. Last few games, unintentionally this time, intentionally the last time. I've got to go. I got to go start buying some older kits and stuff to be able to put things. And the thing is I'm going to want to buy the kit and wear it. But I also want to put some in frames and get them on the wall in the new potential studio that I get to look at and figure out how am I going to set that room up and do a whole bunch of planning, and how much of a budget will my wife let me play with. We got to get you some background or something, and we got to get the map a little closer, or at least so you can switch a camera to the map. But right now the light throws a glare off of it, so you can't see well.
Well, so I plan on. I've got an idea in my head, and that's definitely possible to be able to do that. I also I want to go and buy like not a 50 or 60 inch TV, but a solid size TV that I can put on and set it at a distance and have that cover the game. I've got all these ideas in my head as to how I want to set it all up. I'm sure it's going to be a progression over time. The first one you'll see might even have construction material around me. I could be in the office. I might have to run into, depending on how the internet will get set up, should call them.
Well, you got a lot of merch. You got a lot of Wrexham stuff. You can get all your gear just up on a wall or something.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be a work in progress and change all the time, and I still want to get the streamer bot stuff going. And I was looking at that during the week, but I've just between work and buying the house and stick handling that, I was literally in the house on Thursday night, doing a whole bunch of little tiny things that came up on a building inspection that I had to get done. And if you're tuning in late, bought a new house, so we'll be moving We get occupancy on October 15th, and that's when construction will start because it's a full gut renovation, and we're not going to go full crazy because it's going to need it's likely to be wound up, which in Canada means a developer was likely to come and going to buy all the land in our unit, so we'll get hopefully a cash upgrade off of that. So we're not going to load it up and for the long haul. We're going to load it up just to be nice enough to live in, which allows me to play even more potentially in the room, as long as I don't end up with a third. And if I do end up with a third, that'd be glorious too, but it means I'd lose the room. Anyways, looking at the Crawley Stockport stuff, the shots are equal. The possession, Crawley actually dominated. Sam, if you're still here, I'd be curious to see what your take is. Way more passes by Crawley. And yeah, they were at home. Louis Barry scores, that's you'd expect. And then there was a penalty goal by Armando Quatrina. And I'm assuming that Adai started that one, and he did. Adai being interesting because Crawley Town fire sailed off a whole bunch of their players, and Corey Adai, a capable, exceptional goalkeeper, went off and from left Crawley to go to Stockport. And I thought that interesting, being that they're in the same division. But yeah, fascinating statistically, because 3 shots on target plus the pen, and they managed to score. So I guess Adai did well in game, didn't allow for a goal, but the penalty kick beat him. But fouls near equal, yellow cards near equal, offside, Stockport offside way more, 4-1. And the corners near equal. It looked like it was a possession battle, 37% for Stockport, which let's bring up what their possession is normally, because that just doesn't seem to fit with what I understood.
50, right?
Sorry?
I think they're typically over 50.
Yeah, and Crawley's not normally a possession squad either. So well, you know what? I take that back. Crawley Town's sitting at 65%. So that's on par for what Crawley's been doing this year, but Stockport at 56%. So that was Crawley asserting dominance there. Get a display head to wrap a scarf around and a hat on. Yeah, if you guys have ideas, or even better, if you go around and you watch other watch-alongs while you're doing it and you see something and you're like, hey, that's kind of cool, that's neat, that's whatever, send me an email of it. Jog has been downgraded to a stroll. Yes, Deandra. I went for a run with my kids, and just my kids in the playground was like, let's play chase for about 10 minutes. I was dying afterwards. Smoking for what was it? 20 years. I guess it does some damage to the lungs. I used to, in high school, I made the provincial cross country finals. I didn't perform really well. I was 30th in the province. I could run okay. No, I think it was 40th, to be fair. Not an exceptional performance, but I could at least run, and I qualified, but I can't do that anymore. So it's going to be I thought it was 5K. The choices are 3 and 10. I'm not doing the 10. I'm going to go for the 3K and just knock it off. But maybe it's the next step on getting more active. I should probably wrap this up really quick. Brendan, did you have any final parting thoughts before we close out?
No, let's go Wrexham. I'm excited. I'm pumped. Can't wait for Monday night.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun one. You're putting yourself up against the best team in quality of players on Monday. I think we're the most in-form squad heading into this, and it'll be entertaining to see exactly how we hold up in St. Andrews. And should be a ton of fun. So join us there for that one on Monday. I guess we're not going to have anything tomorrow. We'll be back the following week to get the women's matches kicked off and fired underway. I'm really hoping anyways, because I do want to do that. Other than that, the Who Are You will come out we've got Crawley Town after that one. And we'll find out relatively soon who the women have for their cup matches, I believe. So that'll be interesting as well. So stick around. More videos coming up, order hopefully, and we'll see how it goes. Have yourself a wonderful one. Thanks for joining us for this one, and take care. Okay, bye-bye.